Good morning, everyone. Let me turn on the camera and boom, we are here. Welcome to the show. Oof, I got too much stuff on my table. If you're new here, my name is Nate the Lawyer. I'm going to drink some water. Mm. This is an exciting day. We don't have any live trial testimony from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial to fixate on because I've been fixated on for that a couple of weeks. But it's good to we can talk about some other stuff. Obviously, we're going to talk about Depp Heard. Obviously, we're going to talk about Chappelle. We got Supreme Court stuff. So there's so much in the law going on this week that it's going to be an amazing conversation. I got some people coming in. Viva's is going to come in and join me. Let me look at the chat. Hello, everybody. Hello. Oh my God, Jacob, Secret Squirrel, Courtney. Let me pull up some of these chats. What's going on, guys? Everybody's in here. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We got so for most of you who've been with me a long time, I used to do live streams all the time, and I stopped because I like doing the produced vid content. But today it was just like so much. I was like, should I just do one long live stream and interact versus just putting out a produced video? So I decided to do a live stream today, and I'm probably going to do some more next week to get back into it. So just a couple of quick announcements. It's funny because I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I hate YouTubers who do this, who give you the quick announcements about stuff, but I got to do it because it's good practices. So number one, later today, I'm going to be on Megan Kelly's show. She's got the podcast on Sirius XM, and it's probably going to be on her channel, on her YouTube channel. So I will be on there today. I'm going to be, talking about SCOTUS and all this other stuff. She got a lawyer coming in, so I'm excited about that to go on Megan Kelly. So we'll see how that works out today. It should be at 1. We're taping it at 1, so I'm not sure when it's going to air, but that's going to be interesting. So, look out for that. I'll definitely send that link out or whatever, so you guys can check out that interview today. I'm a little excited, but this stuff happens, especially when you start getting this YouTube fame. What else is going on? Oh yeah, Rockfin. So I'm starting a Rockfin account. I'm gonna have a lot of exclusive live streams on Rockfin. So I'm probably going to be doing about 3 to 4 live streams on Rockfin a month. I'm going to start them on YouTube, and we're going to go on Rockfin. Rockfin just allows me to say the things that I can't really say here on YouTube. So if you guys want, I'm going to be linking Rockfin and all this other stuff in the description. So if you guys want to join me on Rockfin and get some of that content, I'm also on Locals too, which has exclusive content. Thank you to all my local supporters. You get to see like early videos, early access videos, all that stuff. You get that on Rockfin, you get that on Locals, you get that on Patreon. So if you want to see early access to all this stuff, videos and whatsoever, join those platforms. And if you want to interact with me, because sometimes we have great conversations. Okay, so I've given you all the stuff that's going on in the future. Let's get to what this video is about today. So we got kind of 2 big stories. Now, for those of you who are maybe new to a Nate Brody live stream, what we do is we like to look at the facts, then we look at the law, then we kind of compare everything, and then you guys kind of make the decision on what you think. And I like to throw different curveballs in the analysis. So we can all kind of just figure it out together. So let's start with Dave Chappelle and that story. So I don't know if you guys have recognized what's been going on with the Dave Chappelle stuff. So let me get you caught up. So let's start with Dave. Here we go. So you guys have probably seen this already. Dave Chappelle getting tackled by somebody. Now I'm calling this the Will Smith. So this guy is attacking Dave or at an event. So you see the tackle. Number one, I got to say this tackle's pretty good. And this is what this guy looked like before. So this guy tackles Dave and Dave's security obviously gets involved. And this is what he looked like after. And that arm is probably broken. So a lot of people are like, okay, we understand he tackled him. Now he tackled him and ran off. And trying to apprehend him, he turned out looking like this. So he was actually arrested and charged. Hold on 1 second. Viva is texting me. Oh, it's coming shortly. So Dave's security, in trying to arrest this cat, roughed him up a little bit. So the argument, right? So yesterday, and this is where the live stream time starts getting crazy. So yesterday, I was arguing with some people about just this same case, and I was saying, well, you know, there's a difference between apprehending somebody and beating their behinds. And in this case, he beat, he got his behind beat. So people were saying, well, was this excessive? Was this excessive force being used? Now, I'm going to say it. If the cops had done this would be a whole different story, right? We'd be like, oh my God, BLM march on the streets. Look what they did to this poor black man. But I think it's acceptable because it's Dave's security team. So let's go over the event. What you're looking at now on screen is the fake gun that this guy had. So this guy, when he jumped on stage, had a fake gun, and you're looking at it. So the gun is fake, and then he had this fake knife on the gun. So this is what he had when he ran on stage with Dave Chappelle. It looks real, though. It looks real. But he never displayed it, and they never saw it. So they took it off of him, but he never displayed this fake weapon. Now it's different for those of you law nerds out there. I'm assuming you guys understand too. If I pull out a fake gun and rob a bank, and nobody knows it's fake but me, that's still armed robbery, right? Because the gun, nobody knows the gun is fake. I'm portraying it to be real. And the same thing here. If he pulls out the fake gun and with the knife, then you probably have armed robbery or armed assault. But since he didn't take out that gun and knife and use it in this, what you're about to see, the video you're about to see, that's why it's going to be less likely for him to be able to be charged with that crime. Now, some prosecutors may charge him, but some are not. So this is what we're talking about. This is the Dave Chappelle attack. For someone asked, are we talking about the Dave Chappelle? This is the Dave Chappelle attack, and we're going to look at both the law and the facts of this case and see if we can point out any crimes that have occurred. Now, obviously, we're going to have a battery, but we're also going to look at the use of force thing and see if Dave's security used excessive force, and whether you guys would want to charge the security team with excessive force. Now, I think also too, let's just be clear. If these were cops, I think cops, they would be investigating. But since these are not cops, we're giving them a little bit more leeway for whatever reason. Let's look at first, before we get into the facts, let's look at the law. What is the law regarding assault and battery? So that's what we're going to look at next. So assault. Assault is a voluntary act that's intended to cause harmful or offensive contact, or the fear or apprehension of imminent offensive contact or to another person. And that person is actually scared of that imminent contact. So assault is about pretending like you're going to hit somebody, or pretending like you're going to make contact with someone and making them fearful of that contact, right? So it's like putting up the hand and I'm scared. That's an assault. That's a natural assault. And here in some states, they call it assault fear. So this is the fear element of assault. Next thing we have, the next thing we have is a battery. Now, a battery is essentially an assault that makes contact. So you have a voluntary act, you intend to cause harmful or offensive contact, or even apprehension of some contact, and then actually hit the person. So that's a battery. So battery is when you hit, assault is when you scare. Now, a lot of people should realize, because of this slide, you have both assault and battery, where you can pull your arm back, the person is fearful, and then you hit them and make contact. So that's why you'll hear assault and battery. And a lot of times you'll hear assault and battery. So let's look at the Dave Chappelle video and see if we have an assault and battery, if we just have a battery, and we're going to look at the aftermath too, to see if we have a battery and assault and battery in the aftermath. So let's check it out. So first, let's look at the video. Boop. Let's share. So I pulled this up off Twitter. We're not gonna have any sound because I don't want the, what do they call them? The TMZ gods to just take this whole video. So let's check this out. Here it is. All right. Oops, let me pull it down so you guys can see it all on screen. All right, so here's the video. Let's check it out. So Dave is on screen. Dave is on, and he's tackled there. And security's coming up now. So he's running away. The guy, remember, he hasn't displayed any weapons. He's running away. And security's even falling behind. So here's Dave. He's looking at the crowd. He turns at the last minute and sees it. So I want to ask you guys, Do you think this is an assault or an assault and battery? It doesn't look like Dave saw him. So let me put this in it. Let me put this in the chat. Let me give you guys. Oops. Let me go on the chat and give you guys a quick poll. Do you think this is an assault and battery? Does it look like Dave was scared before this happened, or does it look like the guy just kind of caught him by surprise? So if you have Dave being afraid, even at an instant, even if he saw him last minute, he just turned and saw him like and got scared. Even if in that 1 second you believe that Dave was afraid or could have been afraid, then you're there. Let me go to the chat and put the poll. So here, let's see the poll in the chat. Is this I'll ask, is this assault? But I think the battery's clear. There's a poll in the chat. Is this assault? Oh yeah, I will be reading all super chats. So if you super chat, don't worry, your super chat's going to be saved and I am going to be reading it. So we have our first super chat of the day. Boom, here we go. Super chat. Keep up the great work and thanks for what you do. You're awesome. Thank you, Trio Monkey. I appreciate it. $10 from Trio Monkey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, poll in the chat: is this an assault? Now, I honestly think this is an assault, because it looks like he saw it right before. I don't know. What are you guys thinking? I'm looking in the chat to see what people are thinking. Assault and battery. Assault and battery. Assault and battery, no doubt. This person says, so if you sneak up and assault someone, well, that would be a battery. It is only one charge, but if you menace them first, then strike. Yes. Then you get the 2 charges. Yes, exactly. So assault is the fear of a battery, where a battery is you're making the hit. So perfect. So you guys are getting it. Let's continue on. So I'm assuming here. Let me look at the poll. I'm assuming here everybody agrees this is an assault for sure. Well, this is an assault iffy, but this is definitely a battery. 85% of you believe this is a battery. Let's move on to, let's look at the rest of the tape. Dave goes down.
There you go.
And the camera's panning off. So now they're in the corner. I don't know if you guys see them in the corner beating the guy up. There they go. They're beating him up. So they apprehend. This is apprehending him. Let me be a little bit more. They're apprehending him. Here we go. So his apprehension is like 10 people over there apprehending him. Right. Now during this apprehension, his arm is broken. His face, like he's all beat up. There they go. They're still roughing him up. Dave is cheering him on to beat his ass. So now let me bring in my boy Viva.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on with my computer. I am continually needing to restart it so that it reads the camera. Nate, that guy is lucky to be alive. Okay, if someone charges someone on stage, the presumption is that they are armed and dangerous, and until you know that they're disarmed or broken armed, you govern yourself accordingly.
Oh my God! Well, we can look. When we look at this guy was definitely beat up. So Viva may not have seen the.
No, I've been watching the stream now live on my phone up until.
So did you see the guy? Did you see how the guy looked after?
Yeah, his arm was bent in a way that's not normal. Hold on, I had a dog barking. Damn it.
So let me ask the chat. So we got assault, we got battery, we got like 10 people tackling this guy. 10 people. We got 10 people tackling this guy, and they are, they've beat him up to this point. Let me remove this from screen. So they beat him up, and we're going to go back to what he looked like before and what he looked like after. This is what he ended up looking.
In
Viva,
fairness,
do you think this is excessive?
His arm might. It's not. No one's going to convince me it's excessive. You subdue the individual until you know that they're no longer a threat. But his arm might not be broken there, because if that arm is broken, I don't think they would have cuffed the broken arm. I think they would have cuffed the other arm. Like he might just be sitting like that, but
uh,
but no, but his face is his face.
fa-
I mean, look, if we're comparing images of evidence of assault, not
I think we definitely got it. I think you. Well, I think we have a battery. Let's just be clear. I think we have a horrible battery. Let me get these super chats. Let me see what the people are saying. Here we go. Mickey says, thanks for what you do. Me, an assault can be a motion. Battery constitutes physical contact. Yes, 100%, Mickey. Thanks for the super chat. Robert says, what if he fears being hit again? That's also assault. Assault is the fear of being hit. If the person hit you once, you turn, you see them about to hit you again, that would constitute assault. Good question. Talk Skin Greek says, even if he successfully snuck up, wouldn't an assault occur immediate after the battery? It's possible if you have multiple punches, multiple hits. He just tackled them.
Nate, I just want to say you misread that as talk skin Greek when it's tall skinny geek. Which there might be some Freudian. We know what's on Nate's mind.
Yes. Hey, what's up? Potentially criminal. What? Here's another super chat. Why does the law differentiate assault battery? I just don't see how seeing someone punched me and getting punched is wildly different, because the person, it's the threat of being punched is also criminal as being punched. So that's kind of where they're parsing it, right? If someone puts you in fear of being attacked, that's just as bad as actually being attacked. So they wanted to parse those things out. That's why assault is coached in the way it is, and battery is a coach. If you actually hit somebody, that's the battery. If you make somebody in fear of the hit, that's the assault.
I'm looking something up because I'm pretty certain in Canada we don't have battery as a standalone crime.
We don't. Like here in New York, we don't have battery. We have assault and assault fear. So we have assault, harm, and assault fear. Because most states, I think even with Chauvin, the Judicial says, I'd say it's even more of an assault, since all Dave knew in that instant is uncertainty and fear for his life. Assault continues through the battery. So a lot of people think this was an obvious assault, and $50.
Assault on Chappelle, right? Not assault on this guy.
Assault on Chappelle. So that's what we're talking about. Assault on Chappelle.
Yeah, I think 100%. When there was a moment when Chappelle saw this guy coming, rushing stage, I'm freaking.
That's an assault. So here it is, Nate. 50 from Brett. Call me Brett. Thank you, Nate. I really get to see you live. However, I always like to hear your perspective on things, even when we do not agree. Yes. Let you haters hate, but have to ask, why bring that Canadian dude? His hair is bigger than his brain.
If my hair is bigger than my brain, that means my brains can still be relatively large, people.
Yeah, it means you have a really large brain.
Good to see you.
Hey, what's going on? We got potentially criminal who snuck in the house. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hi, Nate. Hi, Viva. I don't think I've been on with you before.
Nope.
Oh no. This is new. Well, welcome to the channel. We're talking about the Dave Chappelle thing and whether first we were trying to figure out whether this guy committed like a battery, just common law battery. Sure. And then we're trying to figure out if the security who jumped on him and beat his behind was excessive. So it seems like the chat, who is extremely pro-police, they generally are pro-police, believe that yes, this was a battery on Dave Chappelle, but they also believe that the security team was justified in using the amount of force they use. And essentially, I think the report is the guy's arm is broken and he got some real serious injuries.
Lucky to be alive.
I saw the pictures of him getting wheeled out on the stretcher. Yeah, they beat the brakes off that guy. I know people, they're okay with it because the guy attacked Dave Chappelle, but remember, if you want to claim, we were defending Dave Chappelle for him, every strike has to be, we were protecting Dave Chappelle. Well, when the 8 of you are river dancing on him, is Dave Chappelle really getting protected anymore? And remember, some of those guys are his bodyguards. They might be licensed and trained, but a lot of those times security, you kind of hired just some muscle, and I bet a couple of those guys were just random yahoos who were entrusted to tune someone up if it came to it. So that's part of the danger of having just random guys jump in and fight.
That's so true. And the thing is that what about the insurance liability? Because
Yeah.
this guy how would the chat feel if this guy sued Dave Chappelle
Mm-hmm.
for his injuries? Right? He could, because I think he could make the argument that, hey, I tackled him.
Yeah.
And it happened, but all the stuff afterwards was extra, right? I gave up. I'm laying on the floor, and they're still they're stomping me out like it's a forest fire, right? So
Yeah. I mean, hey, some attorney's going to want to make a boat payment, so that's probably going to happen.
Well,
what do you
and
think?
also, if you have a malicious enough prosecution and they don't like Dave Chappelle politically, they can find a good reason to go after him. They've gone after people for less.
Or if they want to prosecute police, well, it's even less politically dangerous to prosecute some random hired security.
Well, let me get the super chat from Eric. Eric, it's not an Amber Heard face.
I was trying to go there politely, but that when you get held to the ground and punched in the face repeatedly, that guy shows it.
Eric's trying to make us laugh. All right, so let's now. There was a big hoo-ha because we haven't even gotten to the crazy part of the story yet. You thought that was crazy. I think it's crazy is the way it's being covered now, because obviously this is, just so you guys know, this is all Trump's fault. Oh, you guys haven't heard about how this is all Trump's fault? Let's get into it. Let's get into it. The left is now blaming Trump for this. At first, they were saying there might be somebody who's trans, but they're blaming this is all Trump's fault. Let's get into it. So let me take this off. I know Viva's like, how the hell could this be Trump's fault?
It's that ultra MAGA, Nate. It's that ultra MAGA they're worried about.
Okay. So this was the picture. So first, the DA first put felony charges. First charged this person with felony battery, because of the weapon. For those of you who want to see the weapon again, it's a fake gun, fake knife. But so initially charged him with felony assault because of the weapon. Then they dropped those felony charges because he never displayed the weapon. And I was explaining to the chat earlier that when you display a weapon during an event, it's different than just having a non-functioning weapon. So since he didn't display it, it saved him.
Did the DA disassemble it and reassemble the knife so that it could be a functional firearm to charge him with brandishing a firearm?
Yes.
Yeah, they couldn't do that. This one was plastic, unfortunately.
No, they find felony charges in places where they don't exist, and then they drop them in places where they could reasonably be found. It's
and I'm not going to lie, it's California. I'm surprised just possessing that thing alone is not some sort of felony charge. But a lookalike gun that happens to be a weapon.
That's true. But let's not forget too, they have that new, like I know here in California, in Los Angeles, and in New York. Let's say that this is where it starts getting crazy, people. In New York City now and in Los Angeles County, if you rob somebody and have a loaded active firearm on you, and you rob somebody, the DA in New York City says we're not charging that person with armed robbery unless they take the gun out and use it during the robbery. Now, that's a huge change, because the reason why they would charge somebody with armed robbery is because going to a bank with a gun, that heightens the level of seriousness and fear that could happen, right? Something could go wrong. So generally, if you go without a gun, they're not going to charge you. But if you go with a gun, that ability to have a loaded gun and use it, it's the crime itself. So, but they're saying that now they're parsing it. So if you go to a bank with a gun and rob the bank, and if you use it, they'll charge you with armed robbery. If you don't use the gun, they're not going to charge you. What do you guys think about that?
What happens if I tell you that I have it? Like, don't make me pull out this, I got a pistol in my waistband. Don't make me use it. Is that going to count?
Would be considered. That would be considered armed robbery. Yeah. That would
It's absurd. I'm going to add, I have a rule that I don't visit countries that don't have habeas corpus laws. I'm going to not visit states that don't consider doing a robbery with a gun hidden as armed robbery. I only brought it just in case I needed to use it for the armed robbery. Until I used it, it was just robbery. Nonsense.
I'm actually okay with that, because if I didn't use it and I didn't make that person fear that I had a gun, I just robbed them. And I think that makes sense. I mean, in Ohio, if you use a firearm, they can tack on things, where if you tell them you have a firearm, okay, that's one thing. If you pull it out, that's one thing. If you use it, okay. And there is a bit of a difference there, but if that person didn't know you had a firearm, I don't, otherwise I think you get in the situations where if the police commit a crime, if they have a gun, they're automatically armed, and that's not the way it's meant to be. I think it's
That's a
meant
good
to be
point.
you actually using the weapon or disclosing the weapon to gain that leverage.
There would be, in my mind, a distinction between, someone who happens to be armed when the police approach them and they don't know it, but then they deem, versus committing a crime when you know you're armed and that you have it there just in case. I mean, the intent to commit armed robbery is there, whether or not the individual knows that your intent was to commit armed robbery. So,
oh, hold on. Somebody said here, Larry Lawton said if the gun isn't real, they can't charge you with certain things. That is not true at all.
That's not true. No, that's
no.
false. You display a fake gun and rob somebody, you're being charged with armed robbery.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, in Canada, not only are you not allowed really owning small pistols for any purpose other than target practice, if you have a specific license for that, you can't have hidden weapons. You can't carry around anything that even is not a weapon by its nature that's intended to be used as a weapon. So walking around with a baseball bat for self-defense is technically illegal in Canada.
Wow.
Replica firearms, illegal. Replica firearms with a concealed weapon, double illegal. Bam.
So you're saying in Canada I should carry a ball and a glove with me when I carry my bat?
That's my joke. If you have a baseball bat in the trunk, make sure you have a glove and a ball, because otherwise,
This is coming in late. Couldn't the guy do Chappelle because the force to subdue him was disproportionate when they broke his arm? Devil's advocate. Don't hate me. Yes, I to be honest with you, if this guy was to sue Dave Chappelle, I would say it would survive a motion to dismiss. He has a legitimate argument, right? Hey, I did this and but I think they have a great argument too. We were trying to subdue it. He was struggling, right? Who the hell jumps on stage with a fake gun and tackles the guy and runs away? We don't know what this guy's going to do.
Yeah, it all depends what part of the time he did it.
This next one, give Amber Heard her evidence of being give Amber Heard her evidence of being beaten back. She need that in court right now. That not right, Nate. Don't worry, we're about to get to Amber Heard because we got some very interesting stuff on that I want you to see.
Well, you're gonna bring up that tweet that Cernovich shared this morning about.
I saw that.
My wife said, look at pupil. Look at the size of her pupils before and after. But some people are hypothesizing it might have been something to make her sneeze or cry or bring tears.
We are about to, right after we finish this Dave Chappelle piece, we are about to watch the top body language expert in the world. I'll say in the world. This person trained CIA agents, clandestine officers, police officers, like everything. This is the top. This person trains the body language experts to be body language experts. We're going to see her analysis of both not Dave Chappelle, of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and what she thinks, and more importantly, why she thinks what she thinks. So that's coming up in a couple of seconds.
Are we going to cover the Ben Chew fist pump?
Oh yeah, we should definitely look at the
because I figured out what that was all about. Somebody tweeted it.
What's the Ben Chew fist pump?
Amber Heard stepped on a landmine known as Kate Moss.
Yes,
in her testimony.
They're going to bring in her DV arrest, right?
Well, it's that, but maybe. But what I've been reading is apparently Kate Moss is very pro Johnny, and that apparently she has given interviews that at the time, I guess in her life, Johnny was the safest she'd ever been, was with Johnny. So there might be some issues there, but I also think that does open the door to her past as well.
Yeah, because she's definitely opened the door. But we're almost there. I should have kind of started off with this instead of moving. But hey, guys, we're almost there. We're almost there. People are hopefully you guys don't get too tired of Dave Chappelle. Let me read this last.
I think people are happy to have a break from Amber Heard personally, but
let me this says sup Nate real quick about JD Amber Heard. See, all the super chats coming in. What's the difference between the UK case and the case facts requirement? Amber Heard's team using the UK win as backing. Well, to answer this question specifically, the UK case he wasn't suing Amber, he was suing the news outlet, and a lot of the evidence that was available to the news to him versus Amber Heard, since she's on the side of the V, was not available to Johnny Depp in the Sun trial. for instance, the medical records, the therapist records, all that stuff wasn't available to him to show that these things were fake. So Amber, as a witness, can go in and say kind of whatever they want on cross-examination, blah, blah, blah. But like a lot of the finer details weren't allowed to come into that trial. So it was a totally different event. But now, since all that stuff is able to come in, I think Johnny has a better chance.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why he lost the UK trial.
Eric Hunley just messaged me and said that I was using the wrong mic this entire time. Now I think my audio should be better. Oh yeah.
There you go.
So back with the Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's attacker. First they charged him with felonies, then they dropped it to misdemeanors because he didn't present the fake gun. If he presented the fake gun,
but hold on, sorry, just stop there for a second. What he did to Chappelle should be felony assault in and of itself, even if he didn't have that gun on him. This is nuts. This is
generally
nuts. This is like Will Smith getting off with an Oscar.
I mean, generally, felony assault, you have to do some sort of serious bodily harm or make them believe you're doing that.
Well,
so
serious,
just tackling him. I mean, it's the actual. Well, it depends from state to state, but like you get stitches, like a broken nose, broken fingers, a black eye, like disfiguring injuries, something that requires some hospitalization. But just getting tackled isn't going to do it.
And yeah, because here in New York is the same thing. It depends on the injury. So if I slap you and you have like swelling, that's one thing. But if I smack you and knock all your teeth out, that's considered a serious physical injury. And now we're talking about felony assault. So it really depends on what the aftermath of what happens.
Hold on, I'm gonna go check in Canada. That seems preposterous to me. That what we witnessed there would not be felony assault just by
if he's not injured,
him not landing and hitting his head. So like felony assault is a matter of luck and not a matter of intent.
Yeah. Well, it's what's known here in the United States. It's known as what's known as a general intent crime. There's specific intent crimes where you got to specifically where you specifically want the harm. Murder, for instance, is one of those. Sometimes can be specific intent. I'm intending to kill you. But assault is not about the harm. It's about it's similar to if I intend to hit you, then whatever consequence happens after that is derived from that hit. So that's why they call it a general intent crime. My intent is to hit you. But if you hit your head and hurt yourself, then I've already gotten the requisite intent from the intent to wanting to hit you. So that's kind of the difference between the general intent crimes and the specific intent crimes.
Yeah.
In Canada, assault is without consent. He applies force intentionally to that other person, directly or indirectly. And I believe it's either a summary conviction or an indictable offense.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, it's the idea that in and of itself, that act to Dave Chappelle would not be some sort of a felony to me is.
Yeah, it's some people are very surprised sometimes how the law works, but in New York, they would have asked them, "Are you hurt? What's going on? Did you see the weapon?" Like we would have asked them all those questions. If he said, "Yeah, I broke my arm," or "Yeah, I had to get stitches," we're talking about a higher degree of assault versus the guy tackled me, but I'm fine. Different crime.
Yeah, things are different in MAGA country.
What state was this in?
This is in
California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
In Ohio, this would be misdemeanor assault. Now the weapon, he probably got a felony for.
Charged him with.
Yeah.
Well, they charged him with They didn't charge him because the weapon was fake and he didn't use it, so they didn't charge him with.
No, I know, but that'd be a concealed weapon here in Ohio, so they could have. I mean, because generally there have been some issues with the knives, but generally speaking, you have to show like if your knife is a tool, and I use a knife every day, and it's I got a knife that looks like it's kind of beat up and I use, that's fine. But if I have in my pocket, some sort of tactical, automatic opening knife that never looks like I ever used it, that nobody's going to buy that. And also that knife does not look like something I could use at work. So,
all right.
He probably, I would appreciate him not being charged, but if I was thinking as a prosecutor.
Yeah, you're thinking, I definitely agree with that. Here's Dave Chappelle. So as we see, the DA charged him with 4 misdemeanor counts, battery and unauthorized access. So they didn't even charge him with the assault because they couldn't even prove the assault. So they charged him with battery and unauthorized access. So, but that kind of makes sense because prosecutors have to prove their case. And from that video, it doesn't seem like he was in fear of the guy tackling him. It just seems like he turned and the guy tackled him. So I'm thinking that's probably why they just gave him the battery. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I wonder if he even realized what was happening. I think that's the biggest thing. He didn't have time to think, in fear.
I can't. It's not. It's. I know now. It's California. I can appreciate that. I'm reading some of the chats. What they've decriminalized in California. I'm just looking in. I mean, my framework is in Canada. Although that guy in Canada might have just gotten out the same day. So who knows?
Well, now it's the fun part, because so they dug into this guy's background. This guy's name is Isaiah something. So they dug into his background, and now the left wing from the Young Turks is saying they found out that he's a Trump supporter. So now they're saying everybody's silent because Dave Chappelle is attacked by a Trump supporter. And they've gone even farther by saying, like, this is because, why are people keeping it silent? Why are they hiding it? Now, watching this story, it doesn't, like, if he's a Trump supporter, who cared? Like that, like, how does this even make sense of the story?
This is bull crap framing. Conservative silent. Who's conservative? Who's silent about this? People are up in arms about this.
Yeah, like you guys are silent. You guys are silent about this.
Fox News, who just called me conservative in an article earlier this week. I haven't been silent. I talked about this. This is nuts. How do they even know that he was a Trump supporter? But I don't care if he was a Trump supporter. Don't care if. Oh man, yeah, no, conservative silence. You make the story in the headline and just infuse it with garbage.
Let me show you guys the video of that. This is the Young Turks, so understand where it's coming from. But
it's too early for Anna Kasparian.
No, this is not Anna Kasparian. This is Dr. Richie Richard. Now, what he wants to do is make everything into Trump evil, Democrats good. But listen to the way they try to massage how Trump is. This is really all about Trump and Trump's evilness and
Trump on Trump violence is what it is.
Trump on Trump violence.
That's how good he is. He controls everything.
Oh my God! And I love how they have it billed as Dave Chappelle attacker was a Trump supporter. You see, make sure we all know. Let's play it.
Isaiah Lee, an apparent aspiring rapper who rhymed using the moniker No Name _ Trapper, recorded at least one rap song disparaging Chappelle and made at least one other song in which he rapped about walking straight into the bowl, which could be a reference to Hollywood Bowl, where the attack took place. Lee's song that is specifically titled Dave Chappelle was released in 2020. It is on that song that Lee raps, "Laugh at you N-word joke," TMZ reported. Lee is also a Trump supporter. Lee has another song, defending.
You guys gotta love defending, right? We got to make sure we sell it, baby. Defending.
It's delusional.
We haven't finished.
Former President Donald Trump with lyrics that include MAGA my N-word.
Oh no.
And the open-ended question, why is everybody always hating on my president? It was not immediately clear if those pro-Trump sentiments played a role in fueling this attack on Chappelle Tuesday night, but law enforcement officials investigating the case are likely exploring that possibility. Chappelle, for his part, has made no secret of his disdain for Donald Trump. Well, look at that. Jessica, what are your thoughts here?
So Trump has something to do with this. Well, wow.
God, he looks like discount Johnny Cochran.
So what do you think? Trump's fault? It's all Trump's fault? Is he right?
It's delusional. I mean, it's so delusional that if when the Maddow Bernie Sanders supporter goes up and opens fire at a baseball game, that has nothing to do with anything. This guy, once upon a time, rapped about he's a Trump supporter, therefore this is somehow Trump inspired. It's motivated reasoning. It's delusional.
Yeah, I just want to know: does this guy drink water and does he sleep with a pillow? Because those are because guess who else used a pillow and drank water?
Who?
Some German guy. Well, actually, an Austrian guy. Yeah, you gotta be careful.
He was also a vegan, from what I understand of history.
Yes, he was vegan, anti-smoking, loved the environment, supported the arts. Yeah.
This is, but it's, you know what? It's interesting how they take this is a black guy tackling another black guy who is obviously crazy. Why, it's just funny to watch the news media just try to, let's attach it to Trump, let's attach it to racism, let's see if we can just make it more than what it is, when it's everybody sees this is just some clown. This has nothing to do with Trump. So what? Who cares who the guy voted for, right? This is like some idiot.
Conservatives silent. I mean, I'm just going to go Google right now, just see who's been talking about it. I think Fox News is talking about it.
Yeah, do they want conservatives like out in front of the LA County jail burning effigies of this guy? Like, because they immediately would say, "Oh, it's now a lynch mob," but like, how hard is hard enough for these guys to protest wise?
Reported in Fox News. Let me go see if it was on the war.
This was everywhere. They're trying to make it seem like it's something that's not. But again, this is, we know how we laugh at the news media. This is what they do. $5 super chat for Eminem. Play stupid games, win stupid prize. Security team did nothing wrong. So we know we got a not guilty from Eminem. He or she is like, yeah, this is not happening. Brett Cormier, thanks again. He is being protected by sending a message. This will happen to you if you jump on the stage. It is really an old school type of protection. I don't know but there's limits to that, because God forbid they kill the guy. It's like, what limits are there? I think, I understand this type of street justice people are okay with, but it's not really that great. ABM recommending removing LSAT requirements. Thoughts? I think that's a good thing, because
yes,
I'll tell you, some of the best lawyers I know couldn't do well on the LSAT. Matter of fact, some of the best lawyers I know now today, one of the best trial lawyers I know today, the guy who's I'll say is probably one of the best people at convincing a jury. He took the bar exam like 8 times, and couldn't. And then the 8th time he passed it to become one of the best lawyers here in the city. So it's those tests don't really test your ability to be a lawyer. They test your ability to take a test. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't want to.
Useless.
Yeah, I don't want to tell everybody what my LSAT score was. It was that bad. But no, the LSAT. If you haven't taken it, guys, it's a joke. It's like if Eva's wearing blue shoes on Tuesdays, Nate wears a red shirt on Fridays, and I have a duck named Bob. What's the temperature in Bangkok? And that's the question. You have to know it. It's a complete joke. All it does is show how well you do the LSAT.
It's like a brain game type thing that has nothing to do with any predictive or assessment capabilities. It's good. It might show some form of intelligence that's irrelevant to whether or not you should or can study law. But and it's a game. It's like one of those riddle type games. Speaking of which, I haven't done my Wordle this morning. But it's a useless skill that is irrelevant to the practice. But it's a form of triage. Otherwise, you'd have open applications and you wouldn't have that first level triage. Who knows?
That's true. Please explain. Mickey wants to explain habeas corpus. Does anyone want to take a crack at it? I was going to pull
show me the definition. Body in Latin.
Yes.
Show me the body. It's access to a detained individual.
Yes.
Don't go to countries that don't have habeas corpus, because you get arrested, you will have no lawful right to be seen by counsel, judge, whatever. No one will know that you've been apprehended. Some might say that we have this in Canada, although we know when the people have been apprehended, we just don't know when they're going to get released.
Yes.
Thanks. This isn't my car. I have read it right. This isn't my car. Thank you for all the coverage and insight. Thank you. Thanks for the generous super chat, Nate. When are you streaming with Hogue, Eden Ring? Let's play. I will check it out. I will ask him. And this last one before we get back. Viva, nice big brain move on the wrong mic. Remember, this guy's a professional stream.
I have to reboot my computer because the camera's not working. Then I get the wrong mic. Then the mic is fizzling.
I had that problem last night.
Oh yeah.
Well, apparently with these microphones, I was speaking into the wrong side of it, and somebody said like twist it around, and I've been using it for like 3 weeks that way. So.
No, that happened to me before too. With the I forget with the Blue Yeti, because if you turn it one way and I'm speaking and people are like, you can barely hear you, then I turned it around and people are like, you're screaming at us. That's because I'm holding the stupid mic backwards. Let me just take care. I'll get a couple of these to take care of. This says, how does Trump play into this? Do you scream Trump while diving in the air at Dave like William Wallace screaming freedom? No, I think they just want to attach Trump to anything negative, and I think this was just one of the ways to do it. It's the Young Turks. So understand that that's what that was. Brett Cormier, $20 super chat. Earlier this year, they wanted to cancel Dave. That's true. Now he is back in their fold because a Trump supporter, quote Trump supporter, attacked him. He should thank that guy for giving him a path back to the good graces of the left, in my opinion. That's true, because that, when the Young Turks are saying it's the Trump supporters and the conservatives aren't doing anything for you, it gives you, it lets you know how far they're willing to stretch anything, and I can't call this anything other than a ridiculous stretch of the truth. This is like almost embarrassing. Thanks again, Brett. And
if anybody, whoever watches Salty Cracker, there was another amazing clip of Anna Kasparian flipping out about the Supreme
Roe versus Wade.
If anybody has the timestamp of that flip out, I'd love to see that.
It's all on Twitter. We'll definitely get to it. Okay. All right, so now let's get to what everybody's here for, because we talked about Dave. I think we all have our opinions kind of baked in, but let's talk about the case that is killing us, the thing that we all love. Let me share the screen so we can
distraction from the important things in life.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Amber Heard.
Millions of people watching this.
Yes.
So the first thing I do want to say is that, all right, so this is a case of defamation. So people, you guys have to understand. I want everybody to be very clear. This is a case of defamation. This is about two statements. One is kind of on the bin, but this is about really two statements. Three if she wrote it, but really two statements. And these are the elements. It's got to be a full statement of fact about the plaintiff published to a third party that destroys that harms their reputation, damages them, and actual malice. Now, since Johnny Depp is really arguing that this is defamation per se because these are crimes, we really don't have to talk about reputation and damage. We really have to talk about just the other four elements. And actual malice is really an element. It's a state of mind, but I'm adding it as an element just to simplify everything. Now, I'm going to say it here, and I don't know if you gentlemen are going to agree with me, but all these other elements, they're going to make the element here. This case is going to turn on, I'm assuming, one element, and that element is element one. Is this a false statement of fact? That's kind of what I believe this case is. All the other elements I think Johnny can easily make, but I think there's one element number one. Is this a false statement of fact? So here's the op-ed, and here are the statements. The two statements that survived that we're really talking about is this one. Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic violence, and I felt the full force of our nature's wrath for women who speak out. And the second one, I had a real vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men of abuse.
That third point is so ironic in terms of confession through projection about her saying to Johnny on record, no one's going to believe you. You're a white male. The courts will never believe you. I mean, it's amazing. Revealing, I should say.
Oh yeah, she's playing to the audience. But again, Johnny has to prove that these two statements are false. So essentially, what they're proving is just abuse, right? This is no matter. I don't listen. I know everybody watching a whole bunch of coverage on this case, but I don't care what anybody else is telling you. This is a classic. He said, she said. He's saying no abuse. She's saying abuse, and who the jury believes is going to make or break this case. For her, they just have to believe really just one instance of abuse. For him, they have to believe that he never abused her, which I think puts him really behind an eight ball. Go ahead, Viva.
Which abuse will also include verbal abuse. Now, people are, domestic violence, people are assuming, Nate, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, it has to be physical.
Yes.
If it turns out that they believe that he verbally abused her, which I think he's going to admit, because that it is admitted to in certain text messages. Will verbal abuse be sufficiently true that her statements are therefore sufficiently true to not be defamatory?
I don't know. That's a good question, because I had assumed earlier that I was assuming Johnny Depp's team wanted to narrow that term abuse to only mean really physical abuse, while Amber's team wanted to broaden it. But I think her testimony the past couple of days have actually done the opposite.
Exactly.
Because for me, if she would have if in her testimony it was kind of like, well, we were both bad to each other. I hit him, he hit me. It was a horrible relationship, but yes, he abused me, and sometimes I abused him. But but I wasn't lying when I said I was abused. I could buy that story. I can't buy the story she's selling me now, that she was some innocent victim who was just walking around all day and Johnny was this horrid monster, when he has all the evidence on his side and she kind of just has these self-serving statements. That's the issue that I'm coming up, especially since we're talking about a classic he said, she said. He said this, she said that. I want to now see some evidence that helps support these claims. What do you guys think?
Potentially, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. Yeah, I mean, and especially we're now finding out she's introducing stories no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Yes.
I made the joke yesterday. There's the Amber and Johnny canon, the lore, and she's introducing new things we've never heard of at this point. The plane trip in Russia, the thing with the Maker's Mark bottle,
Yes.
Hashtag bottle service.
Oh,
I'm not really sure. I am
That's,
not sharing that hashtag.
that's a not. Yeah, that's what I'm not.
I will.
That's a
It just
crazy one.
it's none of it's been believable. This idea that I use hard drugs, but I don't have a problem. I drink, but I don't have a problem. It's just Johnny. All these attacks she talks about, it's like every time it's ratcheted up to 11. And then and then she says, "Oh, well, in the picture she does have, Johnny is sleeping." What does that do for you? I mean, what's that?
I agree 1,000% with the she's just it's like, here's Johnny sleeping. That picture is supposed to show he's abused her. Here's a picture of he punched me in the mouth and bloodied my lip, but here's a picture of my arm being bruised. Like, those things just weren't adding up to me. I don't, you know what I mean? I I want to see the picture. If you tell me you got a picture, and today's world where you can you're taking pictures with your phone, she's taking pictures of everything else, but you can't take a picture of your injuries. Like it just didn't add up. But you can take picture of certain injuries, but the more compelling injuries you don't take pictures of.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And I know you've probably dealt with this. I know you've prosecuted and you've defended. You've probably done a lot. I know you've done a lot more than I have, but I've done both. Even in, and I've dealt with stuff in the middle of like rural Ohio and out in cow country, and people and men and women who have been abused or things that are going on, they've done a better job at documenting what's happened to them. In the heat of a moment while they're getting severely injured or their life is really in danger than Amber did, and she's making this up. I mean, these, we're trying to circle little spots on her head that like, hey, this looks like a bruise, doesn't it? See that smudge? It looks like my fingerprint. That's trauma. It's like, that's a Simpsons joke. Viva would have been here for that one.
I'm anything after like the 5th season of The Simpsons, I am lost.
Yeah, but that one was a good one though. I think that's when Bart got hit. That's when Bart got hit by Mr. Burns.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But there's nothing. Yeah. I want to see. Show me the cuts. Show me a cut. Right now, all we see is like a little red mark on her lip, and that's it.
Yeah. And she's selling that as, thanks for coming up, a new member. She's selling that as something that is that's something that's convincing, and it just is not to me. And I do want to go back to this in trying to determine who's credible in this story.
Yeah.
I first you trying to see who has supporting evidence on their side. And like you were saying earlier, Johnny's evidence is supporting what he's saying. To me, for me.
Yes.
Amber's evidence isn't supporting what she's saying. So by the next layer, because I want to be honest with the chat too. My biggest fear about this case was I didn't want to get into the stereotype of believing Johnny because he's a man and not believing Amber because she's a woman. Because I understand historically that was kind of the thing. So I was trying to check my own biases and say, well, hold on. Let me just not take everything he's saying as gospel. Let me look at his case and then look at her case and then try to compare them for credibility. Now, to be fair to Amber's side, she hasn't put on her case yet. She just put on one witness, which was a doctor and something else. So that's really all we have to evaluate. But what she has put on is just not convincing enough to me at this particular time. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it does. With that said, though, I think I've was Joe and I were talking about this a couple days ago.
Mhm.
Her going right at the beginning is probably the best thing because I bet her cross is going to be very damaging.
Yeah.
And you don't want that one at the end.
Oh no.
If it's going to be bad, let's get it out of the way first, and then let her Rocky and all of her friends, mitigate the damage. But
Yes.
this is really getting into the territory of, Amber is damaging things for women and men who are domestic abuse victims.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say it. As a defense attorney, I'm jaded. I kind of have this theory, and it's been, it feels like I've been proven right on it. A good 30% of these claims aren't true. They're weaponized, they're leveraged, they never happened, they're malicious. And then there's probably a bunch in between where, okay, who knows? This is her vanity is going to cause so much harm. And that's the sad part. Because I don't believe a word she says. And
I don't either. I honestly don't.
I mean, because you've seen this. You've seen women who are terrified, and they're reliving what happened. Even the ones who are, I would say, react differently, and they come in and they're strong and they're facing their accuser. She doesn't look like any of them. She looks like nobody I've ever seen before.
It looks fake. It does look fake. But I do want to say when we were talking about the evidence. So,
is this her doctor the next day?
This is her doctor, and this is their doctor. So this is Dr. Curry for Amber on the right hand side, and Amber's doctor, Dr. Hughes on the left. One thing when going. This also, from what I'm thinking, also kind of hurt the psychologist profession, because the way I always think about science, and please correct me if I'm wrong, guys, the way I always thought about science was, if we have a hypothesis, right, something that we want, and then we do our experiments, and then we get a conclusion to the hypothesis, right? Here is something, and then we do it again, and if it works, again, then we do it again. If it works, and eventually we continuously do it, and we kind of have a formula, right? So if you do A, B, C, and D, you should expect this result. If you do this, you expect this result, and then you're able to repeat that consistently. Here, you have two highly qualified psychotherapists, forensics, right, who are seeing the exact same facts, putting it through the exact same procedures, right, that are supposed to be scientific, right, that's supposed to give us a fair amount of consistent results and consistent interpretation, that are vastly different, right? One is saying A, the other one is saying B. And I think this hurts that profession, because it's almost like a math problem, right? 1 + 1 = 2, and we're saying that this is tested, this is real, we can rely on this. But now one person is saying it equals 3, the other person is saying it equals 5, and we kind of got to figure it out.
Nate,
what do you guys think?
I used to do a lot of latent defects, issues affecting houses and you want to look for the cause in an object, and you get two experts looking at the same object with the same material evidence, coming to two diametrically opposed conclusions, both of which coincidentally support the respective positions of their respective clients. This is like, I won't say soft science like someone in the chat said, but this is psychology. This is brain chemistry, where you're interpreting behavior. I mean, for goodness sake, it's like, obviously you'll be able to find whatever conclusions you want. You're just going to have to attribute different motivations, different characteristics, different groupings of the same type of behavior. One person looks at her and says she's got, this is Dr. Curry, says she's got borderline personality disorder, which makes her, gives her a propensity to lie about her PTSD symptoms. The other one says she's got so much PTSD, of course it's going to affect her psychology. I mean, it's like, it's arguing towards conclusions as opposed to arguing from conclusions as opposed to towards them. But psychology is notoriously subjective, where you'll see whatever you want. It's a Rorschach test.
But Dr. Hughes doesn't come across as willing to admit, could you be wrong, or could Dr. Curry be right at all? And Dr. Hughes really comes across to me saying, like, no, she's completely wrong, disregard everything.
Yeah.
Like she would pick apart everything. She complained that Amber's name isn't spelled correctly on the forums. I mean, but yes, you're right. You if you're going to be that anti the other side as your expert, that could be bad, because even somebody in the jury is going to be like, wait, they have to agree on some things.
Yeah, and they seem to agree on nothing.
What
On
was,
absolutely nothing.
Amber's experts' explanation for how she deny that she tested or signed off on 19 of the 20 symptoms of PTSD, or did she explain that away?
She explained it away and said Dr. Curry was using the test incorrectly, and she went through it and found that she didn't, that she wasn't. The issue is that they both, and this is, I think, the crux of it, they both administered the same test. And Dr. Curry saying, I believe everything she said. But now, not Dr. Curry, Dr. Hughes. Amber, well, I'll call him Amber's attorney and Amber's expert and Johnny's expert to make it easier for everybody. So Amber's expert, she goes and she does the test. And the problem for me with Amber's expert is that she was on this, I'm going to believe everything Amber has told me and then make my evaluation based on that narrative. So with Dr. Curry was like, I'm going to look at what Amber says and all this evidence, and then I'll evaluate it to see if she's telling me the truth. So for instance, for Dr. Curry was like, when they asked Dr. Curry about Amber's having bruises, and she was like, well, Amber did. There was one document in the whole thing that says Amber was bruised, and that was from somebody who wrote a note saying, her lip may look injured. She should go see a doctor. So she took that note and said she was hit at that time. But then when they asked her, they said, well, hold on, wasn't she examined by a doctor, a full exam by a doctor right after that? And that doctor said he saw nothing. There was no bruises, no injuries, right? She was examined by her nurse after that. No bruises, no injuries. So that doctor took that one quick observation and held it as truth versus medical exams, which showed me that it seemed to me she was just picking and choosing beneficial facts to use versus, just a hardcore, hey, I got a doctor who, and maybe use that to show that she may not have been being truthful or maybe exaggerating. Go ahead, Viva. I'm sorry. I was long-winded.
No, I was going to say, I've seen both now, and there's no question that one expert seems much more well-grounded than the other. But it was, oh my goodness, I just forgot what I was going to say. Oh no, sorry, that's it. It's the having seen the testimony now. And, they said, okay, well, there's no medical evidence of any injury. That was before Amber testified. What she described yesterday in her testimony, it's not just that it leaves marks. It's devastating, physical, devastating abuse that no one had heard up until then. People, he slapped her, he hit her. Cavity search, involuntary cavity searches, bottles in up until the pelvis bone. I mean, this is outrageous physical abuse if it in fact occurred, and then to have one image of a bruise on her arm, something of arguably something on her lip, which as far as I'm concerned didn't actually, it looked like something else, and then some black eyes, bruising, which was clearly visible, and now you compare that to the image of the guy who got assaulted at the Dave Chappelle. I mean, the level of abuse that she alleged.
Something happened with your mic, Viva. It's like you went away from the computer or something.
Can you hear me now?
There it is. Now I can hear you. Yeah.
The level of abuse that she testified to yesterday, which had not been testified to yet and had not been alleged yet. I mean, now I'm looking at her expert. I'm thinking, look, doctor, if this is what she's alleging and you're relying on that, I know which expert I'm going to trust between the two of you.
I'm here, by the way. I'm just going camera free today. How everyone doing?
Good.
You can look at my wonderful avatar. Ooh.
Let me get this $50 super chat from Britt. So Britt's challenging me, which is fine. Number one, this channel, I love being corrected. So if you could correct me, please do so. Facts and law. So if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, and I will praise you to death. Right? I'd rather be corrected, because then I'll learn. And that's the only way to do it. I am not one of those people who are like, I'm not gonna. No, please correct me. If you believe I'm wrong, tell me. So Brett Cormier says, not quite right. The scientific method says, if X is true, then here are the things that we can test. If we do not, if we do these tests and the result matches our predictions, X is most likely true. That is correct. It's not about absolute truth, but there is a repetition, right? That's what peer review is, right?
Yes.
If we do the experiment again, we can come to the same result.
Predictability.
Yeah, predictability. Yes. And that's the reason why. I don't know if you guys remember the cold fusion, when there was those people said, hey, we made cold fusion and nobody can replicate the experiment. That to me is the scientific method. You have to be able to show that your experiment, that the conclusions you're coming to from the evidence that you put forward. Brett Comio also then says, aftertones of these tests matching predictions, it may eventually become a theory like gravity or germ or evolution. I agree. Brett, you're correct. Thank you for the correction too. Yes. So now, thanks, Brett. Thanks again for the generous super chats. It was amazing. And don't worry, we're going to get to everybody's super chat today. So, because I do have, I'm on with Megan Kelly at 1. So if I can't get to them all, I will do another stream and I'll read them.
Very
all
nice.
of them.
Humble brag.
Just a name drop.
Nate, if you have so many super chats you can't make it, I'm happy to pitch hit for you. I'm available. I can do the show.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I'll just slide in for you.
Let Megan read your super chats.
I have to duck out, but I don't want anyone thinking I'm pitching my live at noon. I've got a Canadian parliamentarian coming up at 1 and my brother to discuss some Canada stuff.
You can pitch your stuff.
Yeah, pitch your stuff. Yeah, pitch it, but the noon stuff too. I'm hopefully be done by noon. Go ahead. Pitch it, brother.
Noon. Viva Fry. I'm going to have my brother come on. He's going to talk about the, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, the Fauci Juice injury program, which exists under Canadian law. And then Roman Baber, who's a member of provincial parliament, running for the leadership of the Conservative Party. I'm going to give him a hard time. Roman, I'm giving you a hard time today, but we'll see where it goes. It's going to be fun. And no Johnny Depp. That's one thing I promised today.
All right. We'll see you at 12.
All right, have a good day, guys.
So thanks for stopping
See you,
by.
Viva.
Let me jump through a couple of these super chats that have been crawling up. Credit to where credit's due. Mr. Motivated Reasoning knew how to sell it on TYT to his TYT audience, even if it's hilarious to us. That is so true. He definitely knew how to sell it to that audience. Nate, found you live. Yay. In my laughing my blank off. Hi, Viva and the bearded Santa that I have no clue who you are. we got. Don't worry, I'll throw the links in the chat. I didn't know who was coming in, so I'll throw the link in the chat. But it's potentially criminal. You want to give people a little update of who you are and where they can find you?
Yeah. So I'm an attorney out of Cleveland, Ohio. I do criminal defense work, and Potentially Criminal is my channel. I try to cover a lot of criminal topics. With the Amber Johnny thing, I've started people ask questions, so I'll answer them, and kind of been foraying into that lately. It's also the only interesting thing on right now, court-wise, anywhere that I found.
Amen to that. And please go subscribe to both Uncivil Law and Potentially Criminal.
Yep.
These are great channels, and I appreciate everybody who comes inside here. And it's great because you get to hear different perspectives, but the benefit that we do from doing all these is that people meet the other attorneys who are online and go check out their stuff and subscribe to their stuff. So I'd appreciate if you guys just at least check it out. I'm definitely going to add it. And if I know I saw a couple of mods. If you can just drop his link in the description. In the chat. All right. So let me get a couple of these super chats before they start backing up. This one, sorry, did I read this last one? Oh yeah, sorry. I'm here to hear Viva say confession to projection. That is his thing. Allison Olsen says, do you think this case will end up being whoever the jury believes more will be awarded? It seems like the world is taking sides. Will the jury? I believe that that's what the nature of this case is. It's he said it didn't happen. She said it happened. Where we go from here is that's about it. It literally is a he said, she said case. 525, I'm not sure the currency. If the jury heard her insane accusations, doesn't believe her, then who cares about the definition of abuse? Why should they debate that? Because the issue is abuse. Go ahead, potentially criminal. Sound like you wanted to say something about
No,
this.
I was going to say something
Oh,
else just
go ahead.
because, it depends what we're trying to do here. From a legal standpoint, right, the technical legal issues we're trying to solve, it's nice to focus on these things from time to time, right? The technical legal issue we're trying to solve is defamation. We're trying to solve defamation about one particular article in the Post. The only thing we're technically trying to solve is whether or not this one article is true. That's it. And so the article itself talks about domestic abuse. So then the question becomes, what is domestic abuse? And therefore, we have to have a fight about the definition of domestic abuse, because whether or not he committed domestic abuse somewhat depends on the definition of domestic abuse. So that is the technical legal issues we're supposed to solve in technical vacuum legal world. in the real world, in the real jury, once you lose credibility, once people don't like you, yeah, it all kind of goes to hell. So the reason we talk about it is the difference between, the legal principles we're supposed to be applying and what's really going on probably in the real world. So that's why.
And again, thanks for the super chat. But yeah, this is all about abuse. This is President-elect
Was my explanation too long?
Oh no, it's perfect. What are you talking
Okay,
about? That was
sorry.
great explanation.
No, worked for me.
Lack of evidence aside, take a look at the pics Amber allegedly took the night of or after the penthouse attack. Her lip is only bloody in one side pic. Yeah, I got to check that out. I haven't seen that, but thanks for that. Thank
Looks
you.
like a red dot on her lip.
Yeah, Wendy's Cafe. Didn't we hear testimony from the accountant regarding the $500 per wine bottle and how it reduced significantly after they divorced? I believe so. Which is, she liked the wine. They were definitely some wine drinkers. Brett Cormier says, look at all the pics from Australia. Do you even see her reflection in any of those mirrors, TV, or any reflective surface?
She's a vampire.
She's a vampire.
Yes. She's that soulless.
Yes, she's bleeding them dry. She's sucking them dry.
Johnny invited her in. She was trying to kill him.
I was thinking more succubus than vampire, but either way.
Yeah, vampire. I think we're giving her too much credit for calling her a vampire. Last one before we get back to it. Amber Heard embracing SV. Makes the DA not matter. All right. That's I understand violence versus assault. I'm assuming domestic assault. Even if the jury dismisses the two DA because they are both verbal abusive, the violence stands as defamatory. That's if, but again, remember during the motion to dismiss, the judge said we have to determine whether that statement could be attributed to Amber because Amber didn't write the title. She wrote the article, and they actually changed the article, the title of the article for online. So they're trying to figure out if that could be attributed to her. And the way they're trying to attribute that to her is by saying, well, she retweeted the full article with title. So it's kind of that republication thing. So we're not sure yet if she's going to get the first one. So you people understand which one we're talking about. The first thing where it's opinion, Amber Heard, I spoke up. That's the one that she did not write. The paper wrote that, but they're trying to add her to it through republication.
And the defense team did make a very good point during their motion to dismiss, which that there is good case law for the proposition that merely retweeting without adding more is not republication.
Yeah. This case law now. So now, last night we were on Civil Law's channel, and I was talking about the first 2 days of Amber Heard's testimony. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's actually a video here on this channel of me getting a confession out of someone who had a fake cancer fundraiser. So I was in this. So we're online. We were in this community. And somebody held a fake cancer fundraiser and said they had cancer. Held a fundraiser. They got like $5 or $6 grand, and we found out that the person was lying. Never had cancer. So the person came on the channel and confessed to me here on the channel. So that video is somewhere around here. So what happened is that within that, a lot of people ask me, well, how were you able to make this person confess? And it's not really making someone confess. It's being it's the training. In New York, when you're in law enforcement and you're becoming like an investigator, they put you through certain trainings. And one of the trainings is called interview and interrogation. And it tells you that it shows you, number one, how to interview somebody, and then also how to interrogate for information. And during that, there's a lot of body language pieces in there. One thing they tell you is you want to have a good rapport with the person. So you want to, pretend like you have things in common with the person. Another thing you'd want to do is listen to their story. Generally, if you're a victim of a crime, 50% of the story should be about the actual event, about the actual trauma-filled event, right? Because people are more likely to remember things that are trauma-based, right? Things that are exciting. You're more likely to remember those things than the things kind of surrounding it. So it's called like the 20, 50, 20, 50, 20, or 20, or 30, 50, 20 rule. 20% story up front, 50% traumatic experience, and then like 20 or 30% at the end to end it off. when Amber was giving her account, she wasn't giving those percentages. Her percentages were off. And last night I told Kurt, I was like, yeah, Kurt, these percentages are off. But then I was looking up body language experts to see how they were evaluating with Amber Heard's testimony. And I found the top body language expert in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what she said we'll look at what she said about Johnny Depp's testimony, and then we'll look at what she says about Amber Heard's testimony and see if we agree with her, see if we agree with what she said. So here is first, let me remove this and let me play the first clip. So this is her. Let me show you her bio first so we can see who we're talking about. So this is this woman. Her name is, I think, Janine Driver. So here she is. This is her bio. She's best-selling author. She actually trains CIA agents. She trains FBI agents and body language techniques. She trains spies. She's been everywhere she's actually the court TV person for this trial for body language. So she is well-read, probably, if not one of the top professionals body language artists in the field. So so I like to, now I'm not a body language expert and don't pretend to be. So I like to kind of see, to try to check my own biases, because like I was saying earlier, I didn't want to fall into the trap where I'm believing Johnny and just not believing Amber. And then I haven't, like that course that I told you guys I took, the interview and interrogation, I took that thing 20 years ago, about 15, 20 years ago. So I'm not up on all the newest and current things. So I could just be, seeing things that are not there because I don't like Amber or whatever. So listen to what this body language expert says about both Johnny first and then Amber. So let me share what she says first about Johnny. I wish Streamlab made this easier. Streamlab, you guys got to make this sharing thing easier.
I'm going to start using the other tool that Eric is using, because Streamlab is garbage.
you hate StreamYard.
You hate StreamYard.
All right, here we go. Yeah, StreamYard makes this a little bit difficult, but they'll update it. Here we go. Tell me, can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here have been speculating about some of Johnny's testimony. Even some of us thought, was he acting a little bit? So we just wanted to see your take on if you feel like he's reliable right here.
I do feel that he's reliable. That's a great question. I've been asked this quite a bit. I do think he's reliable. This is part of his baseline. Go back and watch any TV shows or any interviews he did, from 21 Jump Street to interviews about the shows, that movies he did with all different types of actors and actresses over the years, from the 80s all the way till today, from Letterman and Oprah and Ellen. It's the same Johnny. He stutters, he stammers, he's a little charming. And of course, maybe we'll get a second to talk about his accent. His body language and his behavior is congruent.
Okay, so it's the same. That is my next follow-up for you. That accent, it's a little like...
Well, they didn't go into his accent, but that's kind of the way I felt about Johnny's testimony. I felt that he was extremely consistent with the way he acted. And I felt like his emotions were real. And it seems like, and not only myself, Spidey and all the other body language experts, they kind of got the same feeling. What did you guys think about Johnny Depp's performance on the stand? Uncivil.
I found it believable, but then again, I kind of also had difficulty parsing out Amber Heard, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. But yeah, I liked Johnny Depp's testimony. I found him charming, relatable, enjoyable. I enjoyed listening to him a lot more than Amber Heard. I can tell you that for sure. But in terms of believability, I have a tough time parsing that out. So that's one of the reasons I like to just look at the objective evidence.
Yeah,
because it's like, well, you're telling me a story. What does the evidence show me? And that's where I've run into problems. So, yeah.
What do you think potentially?
Yeah, he came across as authentic. I mean, you understand watching him. He's an actor. He's a very good actor. Yeah. But I didn't, in the back of my mind, wasn't thinking, oh, he's trying to use his acting skills here. I mean, he was just telling you his story, and it was, he seemed like a normal person telling a story. It wasn't, now granted, he was a normal person telling a story that's completely insane and no normal other person gets to deal with, but he came across as a normal guy. You didn't have to worry about, is he hiding something? Is he manipulating it? He just said it.
Yeah. Now, here is the counterpoint to it. So let's look at what this same body language expert, again, says about Amber's testimony. So let's play this clip. Get ready for the fireworks, guys.
Useful information at the front. They're stacking the deck.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
Lawyers will often. We're seeing the same thing here with Amber Heard. She's stacking the deck up front. She gives us this big stress about how much cocaine he had in this bottle. She's giving us irrelevant information. Liars will often do this, Vinny. They'll give us a lot of truthful information at the front. They're stacking the deck, right? They're telling us all these things are truthful. I believe that the cocaine was there. I believe it was a big bottle. I believe they were sitting on the couch together. The problem is when she gets to the actual attack, it is such a small percent. It's maybe 15%. We have a big before, a big after. The incident itself is small. The percentages are off here. We're always looking for about 30% up front, 20 to 30%, 50% of the attack, and then we're looking for a small after. What happened after? It should be really short, maybe 10, 15, no more than 20%. And so her percentage is off. Also, I want to talk about something called statement analysis, if I may. One of the things when she said, he slapped me, I want you to re-listen to it over and over again. She doesn't say he slapped me. She says, slapped me. She drops the pronoun, and when people are being deceptive, Vinny, people will have a change in pronouns or they'll drop it. She doesn't say, he slapped me. She also changes her tense. So she goes from slapped, the first one's a slap, the second one's a slap, past tense. The third one is a slap. That is current tense. When people are making up a story, they'll talk in current tense. I wrote down some of the things. She then said, before I knew it, he starts crying instead of he started crying. Her current tense to past tense is indicative of someone who's making up a story in the spot. I think parts of it are true and many of it is deceptive. And that's why anyone in law enforcement watching this, I spoke to law enforcement earlier today. It's laughable, sadly, what she's doing on the court.
That's a pretty strong counter.
That's a strong opinion.
Yeah. Yes.
She's the person that asked to guess, not me, about these things, but that's what she thinks. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, it pretty much the way I was looking at it. Yeah. Okay, great. They were on an airplane. Okay, they probably were. And she mentions a couple of things that happened. Sure, that's true. And, she forgets the part, though, a good lie has to have a lot of truth in it. Yeah. She's got a little bit of truth, but then it gets, we were on the airplane. I was just minding my business. And all of a sudden, Johnny's trying to throw me out the door. Wait, how did we get to that point? And then afterwards, I got him a cup of coffee and then we, played Scrabble. Like it doesn't make any sense.
It's laughable because I was pushing back. Like when I was watching the testimony, I was noticing stuff like this and I'm like, it can't be this obvious, right? Maybe I'm just not
I thought that too.
Yeah. So, but then now listening to it again and what she was saying, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what was going on. That's exactly what she was doing. She was front loading us. She was giving us all this great information and on all this stuff about this. And in the event, she kicked me in the back. And then we get back to the exit. Say, I was on the plane. I was doing this. So, so it was like textbook deception. But again, I was so scared to call it what it was. You know what I mean?
Well, I was actually going to ask you, have you ever had a case? You've probably had cases where witnesses have lied.
Of course, yeah.
But like this one is like the one you'd put on tape to say like witnesses will lie, and she's so outlandish. I was just like, I felt like I was almost like trapped, like walking into a trap. Like it's like if you answered a question on a test and you just blew it out of the water. You're like, did I miss something? And I'm wondering like something. Either I completely got this wrong, or this is really this big of a joke. And I couldn't believe. I was really trying to think to myself, like, if this is a joke, oh my God, this is pathetic. But I was really, but 20 minutes into it, I'm like, okay, well, no, this is her doing her thing. This is the best she's got.
Yeah. This was and that's crazy, but this was the best she had, and it's I feel like also too, I don't want to get into confirmation bias because I was thinking something, and now somebody's kind of confirmed it for me. And then I looked at a
Sure.
couple other body, and they all confirmed it. So I don't want to get into confirmation bias. But first, I'm put a poll in the chat. Ask the chat. What do you guys think? Is she being deceptive or not? Truthful.
Yeah.
But what about you, Kurt?
I mean, I've
now hearing it, how do you feel about it?
I have trouble judging such things. I mean, what she says sounds credible to me, but and obviously they try to teach spies this and other professionals this. I just don't know the degree to which these indicators are necessarily reliable or not. And I'm not. What little I know of the research says that. Because I was quoting this on my own channel, for example, what little I know, the research shows that, even law enforcement professionals in general, think that they're good at detecting deception, but law enforcement professionals in general actually kind of suck at it. They're not really any better. In fact, I was reading one study on my channel which showed that law enforcement professionals in some tests actually score worse than the general public in terms of detecting deception. The average person is somewhere around 54 or 56%. I forget which the number was. And then you're talking about plus or minus 5% from there, for other people in sort of these studies, which to me is like a rounding error, when you're talking about plus or minus 5% off of 56%. So it's like, well, it's basically no better than guessing. So I don't know whether that's true, whether or not you get to the highest levels of these fields. And I mean, I've seen studies that talk about this with judges. I've seen it talked about by FBI agents. I've seen it talked about, and sort of other professionals and even non-legal professionals, nurses, doctors, other people. Just basically, we all collectively suck at detecting deception, which kind of makes sense from evolutionary principles, right? We've all, by evolution, been trained to detect deception and also learned how to deception. So, like, our detection ability and our ability to thwart that detection are roughly matched, which you would kind of expect. So, I'm maybe not the right person to ask because I have my doubts as to the field.
Well, one thing.
Sorry to be a bummer and all.
Oh, no. What are you talking about? This is exactly what we're here for. I don't. This is not groupthink. We're trying. We're like. The one thing I've always found about the reason why they train you is because, and the first thing they tell you, they tell you in the training, you're not going to become a human lie detector. That's impossible. What you are going to be is understand places where you can identify deception and inquire more about those tactics, because you dig deeper where you need to dig deeper. It's like a roadmap. So what you would do is that, in Amber Heard's case, you would notice certain things, the fact that she didn't have cooperating evidence, the fact that she is, front loading it, and then what you do is you say, okay, well, this is indicating deception. And if it's indicating deception, now let's dig more deeper into these things to see if it is being deceptive. So that's kind of the way it works. And sometimes people can trigger all these deceptive qualities and be telling the truth, but it's just on par though. Generally, it's just it doesn't happen to be the case, but it does. Sometimes it does. So
yeah,
it's not an exact science. Just like the psychiatrist, right? Who are saying one is graduated PhD. She's a doctor. She's saying Amber obviously has PTSD, PTSD, and then the other one's saying she absolutely doesn't have it. So.
And I just want to respond to this in the chat real fast because someone said I said something different, and at least to my mind, I didn't, because I've tried to parse these things out to some degree. Like, as to her testimony unto itself, I have a difficult time reading it. Where Amber Heard loses me, and the reason I find her not credible, is not because of her testimony unto itself. It's because she's making these big, bold claims about this extreme violence of being thrashed, about being choked up against the wall, about her head being bashed in, about being lying on a table, Johnny Depp on top of her, just wailing on her, and other things. And this has been going on for years at other people's incidences and so forth and so on. She's always around people, bodyguards, security guards, Johnny Depp's people, her people, makeup people, her own nurses, their nurses. I mean, she's basically never alone. And then, of course, our friends, the paparazzi, really make sure that's not true. And I'm like, this is the best evidence you have, a bruise on your arm and this thing on your face, which is so ambiguous. You have pictures of the scene of the what's going on in the home, but you don't have pictures reflecting the kind of destruction you're talking about. No one took pictures of you. No one saw these things. No one is reflecting the kind of violence you're talking about. So where she loses me isn't in her testimony on herself, because I can't really detect the front loathing, the tense things. It doesn't really do anything for me. And then I just lean on what I know better, which is the objective evidence. I take a look at what you're saying and try to square it with the evidence. I can't square it, so something has to give. And in my mind, is Amber Heard that has to give, and that's where I come to my conclusions.
Very, very, very good point, and very well explained too. Let me bring up this last example of the body language expert. She is going to explain to us why, just some more things that she picked up on Amber Heard. Now, this is for Daily Blast Live. I think it's NBC. So again, this genie's everywhere. Here we go.
Her body language and with her words that we'll get to in a bit too. There's a lot of deception happening here, and one of the hardest ways to spot liars is when they embed parts of the story that are truthful, and that's what's happening. In my opinion, that's what's happening here with Amber on the stand.
Yeah, I wasn't buying those tears.
It looks strange, and obviously we're looking here at her body language, but also people were talking about what she's saying. They're saying that Amber changed tenses a lot during her testimony. What does this mean?
So you may remember Susan Smith. She drowned her 2 young sons in the early 90s. She was dating a guy who didn't want to date a woman with children anymore. Susan Smith had these fake crocodile tears that we see with Amber on the stand. No tears, right? We have an ear, nose, and throat doctor for a reason. They're all connected. When someone cries, you see a deep swallow and see that. And what Susan Smith said is, I loved my boys. They were still searching for her boys. She used the wrong tense. We look for the wrong tense. What's happening here is Amber is saying, he slapped me, slap. So past tense to past tense to current tense, and this is ebbing and throwing through all of her stories. And as a matter of fact, she didn't even say he hit me. She left out that pronoun, so that wasn't even in there.
I actually want our viewers to see that since you brought it up. We have some footage of that.
It was that simple. I just laughed because I thought he was joking and slapped me across the face.
Yeah, there it is. Slap me across the face, not slap.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay. So I'm like just blown away by this entire thing. Yeah, because I'm like, why do people just destroy each other like this? But let's get to, your expertise, because this is fascinating. Were there other parts of Amber's testimony that raised red flags for you? Like, she started and stopped sentences a lot.
Right. So start, stop sentences, we like to say in law enforcement, it's like a scar that you have on your body. The reason you have a scar is a piece of your skin is now missing, and you're threading the 2 pieces together on either ends. When someone has start, stop sentences, the reason we pick up on it as not being someone who's telling the truth is because a scar is created. She has removed something from the story here. So she does have start sentences several times. I myself am a survivor of domestic violence. If I were to tell you my story, there are no start stops. It goes all the way through. So she's leaving out parts of her story. And she does this interesting sound effect called tutting. I think you may have pulled a clip for it.
Yeah, we have it.
So she was upset.
So they are micro analyzing it, but after all this, it seems to me that now the jury's not going to have to know any of this, right? They're not going to see any of this. No body language expert's going to come in and say, Amber, how to judge her credibility. But it's just fascinating for me to see a body language expert essentially say the same things that I was feeling. And kind of explain it in a way to say, yeah, that was the reason why you did, she came off as unbelievable. The whole starting and stopping, the changing tenses, the front loading stories, and now taking it all together, it makes me even less likely to believe her. What do you think?
Yeah. And I still think I got to go back to the fact she can point out all these little things that Amber's doing. I think I've watched so many things from like the behavior panel, and I've watched a bunch of their stuff. They're usually able to point out like 1 or 2 things somebody's doing, and they're like, okay, that tends to indicate something's going on. Amber seems to be lighting up the chart on everything. She does all the typical things somebody who's being dishonest does. And like, and you mentioned this, and I think, there's different, I think it's JCS, the guy who does psychology, when the police interrogate somebody who's innocent.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do come across as guilty, but in Amber's case, I think it's like I said before, she's hitting so many things that she seems so sketchy that it almost makes you question yourself. Like, am I, is it she just that weird, or is she really this sketchy? And I mean, just hearing that makes me feel a little better, knowing that the professionals agree. But yeah, she's just lighting up all the things. I mean, if that lady were to come up with a checklist, I bet Amber's probably got out of 20, probably just like the PTSD test, a 19 out of 20.
Yeah. I honestly, it's just so hard for me to believe it. And again, I know people are probably going to clip this. Oh, Nate's not believing the woman, but I'm sorry, guys. It just does not ring true to me. And for all the reasons why this woman's saying, like it really. It seems so deceptive, and she could be telling the truth. I'm saying I'm going to say it because I know Uncivil is out there. She could be telling the truth, but I just don't believe her. That's a personal thing. Let me bring up some of these super chats so we can answer some of these questions because people have the questions. Here we did one. Look, we looked at the pictures. Oh yeah, so we this one we did. Next one.
We did this.
We did this one too. Yeah. This one. Amber Heard's bruises on the arm and the text to her mother about it. Where is the text to her mother, and why isn't her mother testifying on it? I don't know.
Her mom's dead.
Oh, her mom died.
So, yeah. So that's her mom was never deposed. So yeah, that there's no way that's coming in.
Oh yeah. All right. So so the mom's texts aren't going to be coming in. But if she said. Because during that exchange, she said her lip was busted, but then she showed a bruise on her arm. That was a little jarring for me because I was like, I'm looking for the lip. I'm not looking for the arm bruise. And the arm bruise could seem to be coming from anything. It didn't seem like there's a hand bruise when if you grab somebody, you can see those finger marks and everything, but you didn't just see that there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that in pictures before. Yeah, I've seen the fingerprints.
Yeah.
It looks like she bumped something.
Yeah, it didn't seem like an arm grab. It seemed like she hit into something. Unfortunately, there's a certain amount of subjectivity into it. Yes. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks, Ralph. I mean, is that Rahel? Thank you for the super sticker for $20. I appreciate it. Rahel. James. What up, Nate? Don't know it. But did you see the low-key middle finger Benchu gave to Amber yesterday? Also, Amber bumping coke on the stand. You guys are funny. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Benchu giving Amber the meanie. But I would too. I think she's lying. I think Benchu believes she's lying too. Joseph says this seems more like a divorce proceedings than a defamation lawsuit. That's true. It does. Brett Cormier, we talked about this yesterday. We talked about this earlier. But yes, the scientific method, Brett corrected me. Thank you, Brett. I really appreciate it. Ruby and the Sun says, you are all amazing. I'm so glad I found LordTube. Don't forget the like button, everyone. Yes, please hit that like button. It helps us all out. And please don't forget to subscribe to my friends here. It's definitely going to help us all out. Kurt, put on some clothes and turn on the camera. Kurt, are you pulling a tubing back there? Are you just totally in the raw? Add Kurt back to the screen. Kurt, are you back? That's it.
Yeah, speaking of Kurt, timing wise.
Kurt's not back. We'll put a symbol up there so he looks like he's back. All right. To quote Judge Judy, it's easy. The truth makes sense. The false story does not. This trial makes that so clear. Amen to that. That's a very good one. Thank you for that super chat. $2 from Monique. Have you seen the clip of Amber Heard posing the crime pig? Have you seen that?
Yep. Yes.
What do you think about that?
I mean, that's just one more thing. It's just, she looks off the camera. Oh, hey, am I in focus? Is it my turn? And then she cries, and you see the flash. And some people said, oh, that's a screen. The screen never flashes like that for anybody else throughout this trial. That was clearly a camera flash.
Well, you know what? Let's bring it up for the people so they can see the fake cry. Let me see if I can find it on Twitter real quick. Amber, because everything's on Twitter. Amber, fake I can't put Amber fake because it brings up like a 25 million tweets.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't find it. I know she took a picture. Oh, you know who's Recchietta? Nick put it out.
Yeah, and Nick and I were talking about that yesterday. I wonder if that'll get her PR guy in trouble because that's him manipulating the press to interfering at trial, while she's in the middle of stuff there. I mean, as much as that judge said, please don't contact me while I'm enjoying my time at the judicial retreat, playing golf and having a good day. I have a feeling there's going to be some motions filed this week.
Oh yeah. I'm assuming so too.
Yeah,
and this type of ticky-tack trial is probably you're probably more right.
And she's going to be very upset.
So here we go. Can you guys see this? Let me make sure I make it big enough for you guys. Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's
yeah.
So this is supposedly what's happening. So she's wiping her nose, and she's gonna stop for a camera. There it is. So here we go again. She's crying, wiping her nose. Stop. Pick. Then she's gonna start again. So yeah, that seems deceptive, but I don't think a juror is going to be able to pick that up. That seems deceptive to me, right?
Well, jurors might notice that. One or two may notice it when it happens, but also these jurors are going to get exposed. They're going to run into things. There's no way they can't avoid it completely because they're going to have friends be like, "Oh my God, did you see the Amber fake cry?" And they're like, "Sorry, I can't talk about." But then they're going to go home or when they're away from somebody this week, they're going to pull up their phone. Amber fake crying. Oh wow. Some of them might do the research anyway.
Well, it's going to be one or two people. I'm assuming it may be one who may look because that's generally how juries do. And then you have the one, but then that one person's afraid because then if they found out, they're going to be off the trial. So, sometimes you do get that. But I'm assuming, I'm hoping, you could hope the jury does, follows its oath, but they're people. And this trial is all over 24. You can't turn on a TV or open a web browser without seeing it. So
sure,
but it really depends on all what they say. Let me get back to some of these super chats. And thank you guys for the generous super chats. I really, really appreciate it. This one, boom. Amber Heard side having 24 hours left. Johnny Depp's side having 26 hours left. Is that the regular amount at this point in a trial? And is it enough for JD? Well, I'm assuming it is because if you think about it, we're halfway through and they both have the same amount of time left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
Yes.
Yeah,
But as far as like having a regular amount of time, you usually don't have trials where the judge says you're done when the clock runs out like that. So
yeah, it's not a common thing.
No, but I respect it though. I respect it on this one a lot. She's minding her time. She's very on time. She takes the breaks basically to the minute. She is master of that clock, man. And I respect it. And I respect her so much for saying this is the amount of time we agreed upon, or at least the amount of time I imposed upon you. This is the amount of time. And I love it when she says, if you're in the middle of the witness, so sad. So sad.
Yes.
Sad situation.
And I've had people say, well, do you think she's just, what happens if you need more time? I said, this judge, I would not want to find out if she's
F around to find out real big time.
I'm not gonna call her bluff.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh no. This judge is serious. This is not some brand new judge. It's somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, she's actually got a pretty cool history.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody was talking about it before. She's a Marine. But you can. The one thing I do love about judges, even if I don't agree with your rulings, if you're consistent,
yes,
I love it. It's just like any referee. Like if you're playing a football game, if one a basketball game, this is a foul and one is this, but it's not a foul. If you're consistent, I don't care if you make bad calls, but if your bad calls are consistent, then I know how to play the game. And I think that's what this judge. And I don't think her calls have been bad. I think they've been exceptional. To be honest with you. And there's been times I've disagreed with her, and I know we've all have. But they've been consistent. Her hearsay objections and sustaining them have been consistent to both sides. I don't think anybody can say she's more fair to one side than the other. She's been really, really good at that.
Yeah.
Wendy says, I think after having both testimonies, that the end result is really that it was a highly toxic relationship, and both were abusive. See, Wendy, that's a win for Amber. If you believe both were abusive, Amber has won. For sure, it was verbally abusive on both sides. And if you believe verbal abuse is abuse, then her statement is true and she wins. That's just the way the game is played. The bottle that he supposedly used on her would have had blood on them, and there was liquor in the bottle. It's possible. I'm really cautious in going into the evidence that deeply and saying what should have been. I just don't know. I'm not a forensics guy. It's possible, but who knows? Thanks again, Nate. What is the liability of DC's comments after he walked back to the witness after the beating? I'm thinking of Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle, he starts commenting.
What did Dave Chappelle say?
Dave Chappelle like, oh, well, beat us behind, kick us, yeah, we're gonna kill that guy. Like those comments. But I think he was saying that so he's asking, could he be charged because he made those comments, essentially egging the crowd on to beat the guy. I'm egging the security on to beat the guy. I don't think so. What do you think, Uncivil?
No, I mean, I just think this whole thing is a circus, and it's entertaining to watch on some levels, at least.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with that. I love that you pull clips and articles to show us amazing coverage today. Oh, thank you, Ruby. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to do this so you can see kind of how I'm thinking, come to the conclusions I'm coming to, and how and challenge me. I like to be challenged. Tell me, hey, you're wrong, and this is the reason why you're wrong. It happens all the time, right? I like to have people go on my mental journey with me, and that's probably why this channel does well, because to let you know where I'm going with it. Natalie, lawyer chick, what's going on?
Hey, Natalie's here. Nice to have you here.
How's it going?
Going great. We're talking about some body language analysis of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. It seems like the body language community is all kind of in unison that Amber Heard, they feel like Amber Heard is being deceptive, and they gave us like a list of things, and they're feeling that Johnny Depp is being less deceptive because he's been of consistency over time. Like they've looked at past interviews and stuff like that. So we're going over that and saying how we feel about the body language experts analysis. But what do you feel about that? How do you feel about this trial, the Johnny Depp trial? What do you think's going on?
Oh, well, as I think some people know, maybe you don't, through the beginning part of the trial, I was in trial prep and my own trial. So I caught up in the past few days. I was in a murder trial. So yeah, I caught up in the past few days. And from what I've been able to cram into myself, I'm no body language expert, but I do cross-examine people for a living. And I don't find Ms. Heard to be credible on the key points of domestic and sexual abuse. I just don't think it's credible. And I would not want to be her attorney. For Johnny Depp, I think his accounts of the domestic abuse are credible. And I think he minimizes some his addictions issues at the time of his marriage and how bad they were, probably out of embarrassment. But I think that's more understandable. And the heart of the issue is whether or not he domestically abused her. And I don't believe her testimony at all. I just don't.
Well, is there anything that stands out? Because I know, like, for each one of us, there was something that kind of stood out. Is anything that stood out to you that was like, this just doesn't sound right?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. So probably the less obvious ones would be the way in which she previews her testimony. So basically, she tries to inoculate it. So she knows she's going to testify to something that's less than credible or is not backed up by photographic evidence or third-party witnesses. And so what she'll try to say is, for example, there's no real third-party witnesses so far that have backed up her claims of abuse. So she'll say, yeah, I saw the nurse, but the nurse was hired by Johnny Depp, like without being asked. Yeah. Or you may think that this is crazy that I'm begging him to stay with me, but after he abused me, but this, and then explain this thing where she's begging him to stay with her after he's allegedly abused her. That's one thing. And another thing is, I think the more obvious, that she has detailed some horrific abuse that I think should come with some horrific injuries from a man like headbutting you in the face and backhanding you and, just tearing your clothes off and throwing you all around the room, and then she has this little tiny bruise underneath her eye and a busted lip that seems to move a bit. It doesn't fit. And then no concomitant medical treatment to go along with that type of injury should come with medical treatment, and it just does not. So I just I don't think that there's anything extrinsic to her testimony that that bolsters what she says. Whereas with, like, I think that Johnny Depp has some drama to himself. He's an actor.
Yeah.
I think he was doing a bit of acting, to be fair. But with most of the things that he said that went to the heart of the matter, he had extrinsic evidence to support it. And so far, she does not. So I just don't believe her.
Yeah. Hey, it's funny because it seems like that's the common thought process, but it's I want to be fair to Amber, and I know it's going to probably piss the chat off because the chat is
tough. No, it's tough.
How dare you be impartial?
But I want to, because I think that's, it's part about getting a good analysis and trying to be fair to Amber. She hasn't put on her full case, so maybe there might be some of that co-op, because that's exactly exactly what you said is exactly what I said when we began this. They just have all the extrinsic evidence goes to Johnny and nothing, but she could put on something and next week when they come back on. So I'm going to leave my opinion open that she provide, like, we could hear the flight attendant. She comes, yeah, I saw her get kicked or something like that. So I want to leave my mind open for that. But right now we don't have any of that. It's really just, and even her doctor. And the reason why I'm kind of thinking that we won't get any of that is because her doctor couldn't provide, like when she was asked, what other things did you look at? Just as all what Amber told me. She said that a couple of times.
Did you talk about the doctor and how, Nate, you've done experts before, right?
Yes.
You've called them, because you worked on the state side, right? So you've
Yes.
called them, you've crossed them. Her testimony to me was bizarre in that it was strangely impassioned for someone who's not a fact witness, meaning you were not there. You did not see the facts.
She was an advocate more than an expert.
It was very bizarre. She was like emotionally invested. I've never seen an expert testify like that before.
I thought it was just me. I was like, she almost looks like a fact witness. She was just so emotional with it.
She was so it was a couple of things, but it was okay. Let's be fair. Johnny's expert, I forget what her name is, but she was a younger blonde woman. She was also a mental health professional. Mm-hmm. She also, might have had some bias because maybe you just like Johnny Depp or you had a muffin with him or whatever the case is, right? Like all experts can be biased. They're being paid to give an opinion, right? So that there's a possibility for bias there with everyone. But she did not testify in a way where she was like trying to nail Amber Heard. And the expert for Amber Heard sounded like she was trying to nail Johnny Depp. So when she was like, she was just talking about the paradigm of intimate partner violence. And she was saying that in the paradigm of intimate partner violence, there is, the abuser and the circle of violence. And then there's the victim, and then there's the way they react within the circle of violence. She always referred to the victim as a woman and always referred to the abuser as a man. And I thought that it was disingenuous on cross-examination when she tried to make it seem like, I was only doing that because this was the case. This case involves a woman who is abused and a man who's the abuser. Because you were talking about it in a general sense to lay the framework for your expertise. You are not supposed to be talking about this particular case. So it seems like she already has an inherent bias that she hasn't addressed. And then when she was recounting the facts, she's just like, and then he did this to her, and he punched her, and backhanding her, and sexually abusing her, and isolating her from her friends. All of these are examples of abuse, and it's just like, why not? Like, if he did these things, then they would be examples of abuse. She was like endorsing the statements as though they had happened, and there's no way for you to be able to do that because she wasn't there. So it was very strange to me.
Yeah. It's so funny because when she started testifying at first, I was like, okay, she seems a little more emotional toward it. But then when she started doing those things, it was like the expert part saying, okay, this is what the science was. You're right. She gendered it. And then on top of that, she was almost speaking toward the case. And then when they asked her about it on cross, she said, yeah, I was speaking to it as about this case, in
Not
context
supposed-
of this case. And it's like,
Yeah.
but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give us the science and then apply the science to the case. You're not supposed to give us the science mixed in with the facts of this case, because then how do we know the difference, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It was just so weird. I don't know. It's one of those things where hopefully she has more, but Amber doesn't have, and I know the chat's gonna hate this, and I know people are gonna hate this, but Amber doesn't have to do a lot to win here.
Oh
She just has to
no,
get one juror to
Mhm.
believe that she was abused one time,
Yes.
and she wins. That's
At least-
all she has to prove.
At least
Oh, yeah.
possibly, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
in reality, I mean, I'm not sure on this is one of the aspects about the technical legal again versus what's maybe happening in the real world, because on technical legal to prove this domestic abuse happened, yeah, one incident may be enough to prove domestic abuse, but she's making such grandiose, over the top claims, and she's being followed around, and Johnny Depp's being followed around all the time by all kinds of people, staff, paparazzi,
Yeah.
fans, doctors and nurses who are on just permanent retainer flying to Australia to visit you because that's how we roll deep. We're on planes with people, we're on we're at LA, we're going to shows, we're being on camera all the time, and you're making these kinds of claims that not just is it physical, it's egregiously physical with the wailing and the choking and the bashing of the head and everything else, and there's no photos that represent this. There's no evidence, even though you take photos of other things and photos of the little bruise on your arm and whatever that little thing under your eye is, which could be anything.
Right.
Some people said it might be a cyst or something. I'm like, yeah, that seems plausible. And I mean, what you're saying is not squaring with what you're showing me. So not so much. So if I'm the juror at this point, I don't think for me as juror, one evidence of some physicality is going to do it for me. I'm going to expect her to justify the kind of claims that she's now making.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Natalie, I was going to ask you this because it's something you mentioned, and I thought about it in the back of my head when I watched Dr. Curry testify. She seemed almost offended that she had to be on cross-examination.
Yes. Oh yeah,
they're like, how dare you make me defend this? How dare you question domestic violence?
She seemed offended by her own direct. That was what was hilarious to me. She seemed offended by her own side. It's like, I can't believe I'm here, that you're asking me questions. I'm like, I'm the one paying you.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a personality thing, right? And there's no accounting for personality, right?
Apparently.
Everyone, we don't know her at baseline, but she got offended by being called a professional witness. I'm sorry, if you are paid to come in and testify, you are now a professional witness.
Yes. That's exactly what it means.
You are a hired gun.
You are we can even as defense attorneys call police officers professional witnesses because they get paid for their time on the stand. They are, trained on how to
exactly.
Yes. We were professional witnesses.
You're a professional witness. It's not a slight on you as a human being. It's just a fact. It's what you're paid to do. And she was, no, I'm not a professional witness. Well, that's a lie. Yes, you are. You were paid to be here. So it could be a personality thing that she's just a combative person and, can relate over here. But it could also be that she maybe has spent too much time surrounded by people that accept her as, the authority on this issue. She holds a lot of positions that for her to be questioned, it might personally offend her. But you have to put that to the side and realize they have the right to probe you to see if your opinion is based on bias, if you're qualified to be an expert, and if you've considered all the facts appropriately. I don't think she was a great witness for the defense. I just don't.
Yeah, I really get the feeling she just wants to say, look, I said it was domestic violence. That should be enough. If you're asking me, you're denying it.
I have an office on Madison. I am paid $500 an hour. I give seminars on how to be a professional witness, but I'm not a professional witness. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Nate,
it's laughable.
Yeah, Nate, have you ever ran into her because she does stuff in New York City at all? Or
no. I haven't done any criminal cases in a while. A lot of my stuff is civil. So to be honest with you, I could have run into it because I had a DV case, maybe like 6-8 months ago. I had a DV case, but it was actually with a corrections officer. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's I get crazy cases. I got a crazy one now that's going up. So it just happens. But yeah, I and she said I think a lot of her stuff is in Brooklyn too.
Yeah.
So I was at the DA's office in Brooklyn for like a couple of months. But I never ran into her. So
yeah. Someone I wanted to point this out because it goes to what I was saying when I first came on. So I think it's X-Man's mommy. She said there were people around and she couldn't believe they didn't do anything, trying to debunk all the witnesses who say that they saw nothing. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, these were yes men. These were this, they were that, But it's like, okay, when law enforcement responded, if they see signs of injury, they're not told by Johnny Depp. Yes. They have to arrest if they see signs of injury. And again, I actually know what I'm talking about here because I practice in a neighboring jurisdiction to this jurisdiction.
All right.
I'm just a few miles from here. I get clients out of Fairfax all the time. So, it just doesn't make any sense that they would see signs of injury and not make an arrest. It just doesn't make any sense. So
yes, everybody's in on it against Amber is her.
There's a lot of people that are in on it, man. That's a lot of people.
Oh, we were all either we were by ourselves or if anyone else was there, they're yes men. Even a medical professional. Yes. I just don't. I'm sorry. That's overly convenient. I don't believe
so
you.
Convenient. So convenient.
And when it comes to the doctors and nurses, part of their job is to be discreet and not let the celebrities, they do drugs and get a little off kilt. That's fine. But this, severe felony level, like probably mandatory prison sentence levels of violence.
Yes.
They aren't going to risk their life and their livelihood for that. To let that slide.
No. Anyone who's a professional, all of us here, we know that. Like there's a gray area in everything, but God damn it, nobody's gonna sit there and watch somebody get the crap beat out of them multiple times and not do anything. I feel like people were intervening on his behalf, because she was the abuser. I don't believe her.
Yeah, you had the security guard that was there. There was one time they had the guy called in, and he said she was throwing things. He had to push her back from him, and it's like a crazy. And that's all they testified. But again, what she wants to put forward, and I think that you made it very clear, is that everybody's lying, and that's because he's paying them. And I'm telling you, and even to the point where, and this is where I think her expert lost me, is because even in that same vein, the one time that she said that Amber had an injury that could be corroborated with the one doctor made like a simple note, and she goes to the other doctor who gives her a full exam. She dismissed the full exam that said she had no injuries and accepts the note that says she may have had an injury as gospel that she had the injury. And then you had the nurse also examine her, and the nurse said she didn't have any injury. So it's like all this objective evidence you've kind of just disregarded for a note that that doesn't really you're giving the province over a note that someone wrote versus 2 medical exams. That shows me that you have a real bias. So it was shocking to say the least.
Yeah.
Let me pull down some more of these super chats because we it seems like we were like we're going to give people a break from Johnny Depp. But there's no break. There's no break. We are loving this case because it's got so much.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. I love the legal piece of it, but also this presents so much as a domestic violence criminal trial and not defamation case.
That's right. I was with Ron Coleman last night, and I kept having to say, I have to keep reminding myself this is not a DV trial.
Yeah,
it's not a criminal case, but it feels like it.
Yeah, is this a defamation case? Because it doesn't feel like that a lot.
No, it feels like a criminal case.
I'm calling them saying who's going to be found guilty? I'm like, no one's not guilty.
No one's going to be found guilty, guys.
Oh my God. If Johnny was punching the wall, this is Startup Labs. If Johnny was punching the wall, and her and fighting as Amber claims, Johnny med records from Australia would show that he can disprove because there is no injury on his hand, as the defense asked on Cross X. So they're saying that. Yep, I think this is true because Johnny, most of his injuries and he had somebody that corroborate. The guy who was taking pictures of. Remember he had the one guy who was taking pictures of his injuries and saying, "We need to take pictures of this now." What's up, Bree? The security guard said, "Yeah, we need to take pictures of this now because she's going to come back and sue your ass for domestic violence." And then, so he's taking pictures, and he was right. He was right. He said, "I was doing it because I knew this is where she was going with this, and I wanted to have documentation for Johnny." That was pretty explosive. What's going on, Bree? How you feeling?
I am good. You know, it's a little earlier over on this side, so
The sun is all bright for you.
Yeah, my lighting is all crazy right now.
No, you look great. I was like sitting. I was like, wow, how is her lighting so good?
You both look great.
You both look great. That's true. Let's give me the super chat panel. Please talk about career options in law. I'm not a great public speaker or writer, but I love research. Not sure I could pull off law school to be a lawyer. Thanks.
Oh, sure you can.
There are so many jobs in law. A lot of matter of fact, a lot of the more successful lawyers don't even practice law.
That's right.
Yes,
they talk about it.
That's what I'm working on as we speak.
It's true. They talk about it. So
or they never step foot in a courtroom. Never.
Yes. You don't know how many of my friends who are in firms now, they're making $170,000, $200,000 a year, and say how much courtroom experience. We've never gone to a courtroom because a lot of it is doc review, a lot of it is research, a lot of it is client interviews, and a lot of their cases settle before they go into the court. So
like Richard Marks, that's probably the first time he's been in a courtroom in a while. For him, it's just all transaction.
Yeah. But if
So-
you're thinking of a particular area, do you mind if I just make a suggestion for an area of law if you don't like litigation or you don't want to talk in public? So you might want to try elder law, which is estates, wills, things like that. You so rarely be in court, and you're just dealing with families and loved ones and making sure that they have their things in order. You can do the non-litigation side of any contracts law that's like, the contract is not being taken to litigation. Those are usually two separate people in the firm. And then another one is intellectual property, probably the most lucrative of the non-litigation practices. When you've got like IP, just like setting up the patent and stuff like that, that you will never go to court because there's a litigation side to that. They're not usually the people that actually set them up. You'll never go to court and you can make so much money in IP. So I'd look into that.
Yes, I agree with Natalie. I do a little bit of IP. I do trademark, and you don't deal with anyone. You might talk to the examiner on the phone, but as far as going to court, most likely not unless someone is infringing on your trademark, but I don't handle those type of cases. Also, there's areas of law that's a little bit more relaxed. I also do family law, which is you do go
the Johnny
to court.
Depp case.
And you do go to court and do litigation, but it's more of like a casual atmosphere. So you're just kind of talking to the judge. Same thing with workers' comp as well. So if you want to go to court, but you don't want to be too serious in court, there are other options other than the Johnny Depp trial, civil litigation.
Oh, John O'Brien says tax too. You can do tax stuff.
That's great. Really smart. Yeah.
Well, John's a lawyer too. He's I call him my second chair. Whenever I get something wrong, he corrects me. Nate, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm like, okay, thanks, John. Thanks. All right, let me get back to some more of these super chats. Thank you for that, and good luck with trying to get the whole law school thing. It's tough. It's tough out there.
Very hard.
Nate, love the content. I'm also served by country and retired Navy. Thank you for your service. Prior NSA agent, thank you. Degrees in law and linguistics. Really interested in collaborating with you. Message me if you're interested. I will. You have just click the about section, email, send me an email. No links because I don't click any links so the Russians don't get me. But if you send me something, I'll respond to it. Thank you.
That's good. I like that.
I don't, because you don't know. The Uncivil got caught out there like that, clicking those links, baby.
Oh no.
Gotta click those likes, man.
Mad D8 says her lie is so massive with so little evidence. At some point, I give up with people like her. Now everything she says is a lie. Do you think that because her stories are so fantastic, it seems, do you think that she runs the risk? Because really, just as a technical matter, she doesn't have to. The jury doesn't have to believe all her story. They just really have to believe one version of the story, right? One time he slapped her, she was a victim of abuse. But by embellishing so much, does she run the risk of narrowing her own perspectives because the jury has to say, well, I got to believe it all, and I don't believe any of it because it's so outrageous. On even the ones that we know are outrageous, so we don't believe the simple ones because it seems like you're lying about everything. What do you guys think?
I think
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think exactly that for me. I think exactly that. She has, to my mind, sabotaged her own case because while her attorneys did a great job trying to open up what abuse could be, she has narrowed it down to its most violent connotations. And so even for me at this point, like trying to prove one thing one time is not going to do it because she is like, if she's lying about these big things, she's lying about the small things too. And so it's just, she's lost my confidence because she doesn't have evidence to back up what she's saying.
Yeah. So I have a bit of a different perspective on that. I think that definitely can happen and does happen with juries, but juries are surprisingly astute. And I've seen them split the baby. You know, you get those jury verdicts where you're like, I don't quite understand how they got there with what they heard, right? And so I always caution people on that. They could potentially hear that and say, I'm not going to believe this part because they get that instruction. You can believe part, some, all of what you hear, right? I'm not going to believe this part, but I'll believe that part, right? And say, well, if I just believe this one small part, then something was true. And therefore, I'm going to find her not liable. I would be very surprised. No. Let me not say I would be very surprised. I would not be very surprised. I don't think she's telling the truth personally, but they could say one of these things may be true. And so 51%, that preponderance of the evidence, I'm going to give it to her and not him.
Yeah.
And I agree with that as well. I think that if they believe at least one thing is true and one person is not persuaded or is persuaded that Amber is telling the truth, then it could happen that the jury would find her not liable because it's a unanimous vote, right?
Yeah. So you need one.
Yeah, and also with the kind of all of her stories being more towards the more violent area, I think that was a mess up for her. Yeah, because if they give a jury instruction that domestic violence can include verbal, emotional, disturbing the peace, which is true in California, you can have disturbing the peace, then I think that she would have had a pretty good case. But since she keeps talking about how he dragged her all through the hallway with barely any bruises, I don't think that's a good look for her.
I just don't know why she went there. I mean, well, I do have a guess as to why, but I don't think she had to, and I think it was a bad calculation. I think the reason she went there is because she's tied to that op-ed.
Yeah.
Right.
Because even though the title said sexual and she can say, I didn't write the title and the ACLU helped me write it or whatever, once she tweeted it later on and that reactivated the statute of limitations, she was liable for everything that was in there. And it did imply from the title on down sexual and physical domestic violence, not just emotional abuse. And so she's like, I'm going to sell this to you. Like, I adopt what I retweeted. I'm not going to back away from it. I think she should have backed away from it. I think she should have, like, I didn't have, actual malice because he's a public figure. Because what I was really saying was this, and the ACLU added all this extra on it or something. But for herself to double down on the physical and sexual abuse and to make it so drawn out that you would think there would be these horrible injuries, major miscalculation on her part, in my opinion.
Yeah. $50 from Ricada Law, best lawyer is a YouTube lawyer.
Hey, Ricada.
Ricada. He's awoke now. Usually he's asleep at this time.
Yeah, no joke.
Miguel says they are both trained actors and Johnny is an award-winning actor. I don't believe either of them. The evidence will win this trial in my mind. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all you do and the team do. And just as a reminder, All of their links are in the description, so just click on the links and it takes you right to their page. So please, it's literally the only thing in the description box. So go down there and click, and it's right there. And the mods have been putting their links in the chat so you guys can easily find it, because again, we all want to support each other, and they're coming over here and giving their opinion on their free time, which I really appreciate. And as a gift back, it would be great if you guys can just go check out their channels. And I know for a fact when you guys look at the stuff, you'll subscribe. So please.
Come on, Chewy.
Oh, I hear Chewy.
Someone gotta go.
Here it is, Nate. Nate the legend. The reason I found LawTube. Love your content and your vibe. Totally engrossed in the trial for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Cheers, Nate. Thank you. This trial is crazy. I'm gonna call this This is the criminal civil domestic violence defamation case. That's like the way you gotta lay it all out.
It's got a little bit of everything.
Sorry about that. I was cat wrangling.
Oh, no problem. Does the bump figure into deceptive behavior? The bump. I'm not sure what the bump was.
They think she was taking a hit of something when she looked like she was snorting
on the
at
stand.
One point.
Yeah.
I don't think that was. I think she was trying to get the waterworks going or the emotions going. I don't think she wasn't dosing anything up there.
I don't think so.
But why did her tears come off so what? It's just funny because she was trying to cry so much but just couldn't.
What tears?
Bring it, right?
It's because
there were tears. There were tears.
No, it's Nate's financial interest that there were tears.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I gotta hear about that.
Yeah, we had there was a $50 bet.
$50 prop bet.
Where would she cry? And I said she has to cry because that if it's fake. Well, my whole theory was if Amber Heard is really faking it, she's going to cry. And the reason why I came to that is because she believes that's what a victim would do. They would cry. And if you're trying to perform, you do it. Now, real victims would cry on the stand, but I honestly, from the evidence, believe that she's faking. And this is evidence that wasn't induced to trial, but everything I've seen.
Right.
But there's someone else believed that she wasn't going to cry because she was going to hold up the whole strong woman platform. So I said, nah, it's guaranteed. Either she's going to cry because she's guilty, or she's going to cry because she was abused. But there's going to be tears up there. So that was a $50.
She cried, but Nate, there were no tears. She was screaming, but nothing was coming out. And as I said, from my culture, they call that a dry cry. Like she was trying. She really was squeezing her eyes and squeezing her nose and trying to get something to happen. And, ultimately, I think having now seen Aquaman after this piqued my interest, she's not a good actress. She's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's not. She's not convincing.
Oh, you guys are crazy.
No, she's not. She's horrible.
She does not have the ability. She doesn't have the range. She cannot cry on cue. And that's why she was making a lot of the hyperventilating sounds and shoulders moving, but nothing was coming out. There's nothing. When she said Johnny Depp had black eyes, I think she's talking about herself. There's nothing in there.
Yes.
There's nothing in there.
She probably is telling the truth. Nobody stopped Johnny because everybody was trying to stop her.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And her at the end where she gets off the stand and she's like, "Oh my God," and she gets back because Johnny comes near her. That was so telegraphed, and I don't know if you guys saw that.
I'll say that in court usually they try to keep them apart. They'll try to.
I know they do, but she looked like she was acting like she just saw a ghost.
But her reaction, really jumping back, like he's gonna beat me right now in front of everybody.
Oh, this is the time, Amber. He's gonna sue you for $multi-million just so he can get in the same courtroom as you, so he can beat you up on national television.
Johnny may be thinking like, "Hey, you said I did it, so."
I'm thinking she did see a ghost. I'm thinking she saw the case die before her eyes and its spirit raised towards the heavens or hells. Yeah, she saw a ghost.
Audio recordings that did it for me. It doesn't. They were devastating. The audio recordings of her saying, "Oh yeah, some big strong man, and you get beat up by a woman. Oh well," like something.
Nobody's gonna believe you.
Yeah.
No one's gonna believe you, Johnny. And like once you say that behind closed doors, I don't believe you anymore. Like nothing you said, I can believe after you told him, "Oh, just go and tell people you're a victim of domestic abuse," and he was like, "I am," and she's like laughing at him. I'm like, "Oh, okay." You're a jerk,
but
you are an abuser.
The wild part about that, if you switch their genders, If you switch their genders, we would feel the news media would be totally different about this, right? If it was him saying that to her, it would be front page news. Like he could
crucify him.
But it's almost like it's non-existent. Like that wasn't a big.
The double standards are real.
Big. Oh yeah.
The case would have settled out of court if he was saying that. Oh, recate us.
No, I'm serious. That's what I was thinking too. Johnny's like, look, you're accusing me of this. I'm going to earn it.
He kind of earns it a little bit. Does he get one for free?
Yeah, you're gonna make. Yeah, he's making us laugh at that stuff, and now we're going to be canceled, Nick.
That'll be Johnny's settlement offer at this point. That's what Johnny should offer.
A free slap.
No, we walk into court, and I just like, you said I did all this. Here's the settlement. I beat the brakes off you on TV.
No, but the fact of the matter is that for me, Amber could have convinced me that she was abused, but again, the story she's selling isn't the story that she could convince. She could have convinced me, yeah, we had a struggle and he hit me and I hit him. That's believable. This whole he was dragging me around by the hair and broken glass, and I have no injuries.
Headbutted me.
Yeah, and all the people who've seen me, all the cops who saw me, nobody sees any injuries. That's the story that's harder to sell, and I think that's the problem. That's the problem I think everybody's having is that it's not like she can't win. It's just that what she, I just don't believe what she's saying. It just doesn't add up. Here is another super chat. Can we make Amber Heard the face of believe all women? I prefer the older phrase trust but verify. But I don't think she is the face of believe all women. I think Amber Heard is the face of an abuser who happens to be a woman and is trying to co-opt it to make it seem like she is the abuser under the Me Too stuff. And that happens with everything. You're going to have bad actors try to use something that was positive for their own ends. And she got $7 million that she didn't give to the Children's Hospital, but she got $7 million out of it. And she was threatening Johnny's team with, hey, if you don't want to settle, we're going to make you out to be a DV, domestic violence person. And that's the reason why they settled. That's the reason why and that's the reason why even with the settlement agreement, they were like, well, you can't even name Johnny in the op-ed because in our settlement, we both said there was no violence. We were going separate ways. And then she dropped that bomb. So. Sorry, guys. I know that was a little long-winded.
No, anytime I'm going over here, it's just a work thing. So sorry. I'm still here.
No, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Besides, it's your show. You can be long-winded.
I also think you were right. I was just going to say that I personally do, as a defense attorney, do not believe all women. I don't believe in believe all anything. Everyone's an individual. Look at each case for its individual facts. And this Amber, look, going into this, I wasn't any huge Johnny Depp fan, and I didn't know who the heck Amber Heard was. I just started watching the trial. That's all I know about it, and I don't think I've seen more than 30 minutes of Pirates of the Caribbean because I'm an adult, right? So I love
that movie.
I'm sorry, I just don't think I'm in the target audience. When I saw the previews, I was like, "This is a kids movie, right?"
No, it's a great movie.
I think the last thing I saw Johnny Depp in was Crybaby. Okay, that's like how little I know about his career, and I still think that she's lying. It just is what it is.
Let me try to rush through these super chats because I have maybe 15 minutes before I have to go on Megyn Kelly's show. So let me take care of trying to get these. Yeah, here we go. Boom her says the busted lip looks like a blank outbreak or a cold sore. Yeah.
Is that a gift from James Franco?
That is what it looks like.
Oof. Here we go. Could Amber be saving the best picks or evidence or abuse for later? Shout out fellow 216. What do you guys think about that? She's saving all her evidence for later?
I don't think so. I think you want to leave the jury with 10 days thinking about the most horrific images they've ever seen in their life. So they have 10 days just to ponder on that.
Yeah.
So no.
That's not how we run trials. You hit them with the impact, primacy, and recency. So at the very beginning or the very end, and you don't wait with a 1 week break to show the worst parts of it. Absolutely not.
After showing those very soft pictures first, and then hey, here are the worst ones.
Yeah, no way.
Sandra says, my abuser left bruises on me in the shape of fingers. Police noticed the bruises even before I did. Just generally what happens. And that's how it works here in the city is where when you go to a DV, if you see anybody with bruises, somebody's getting arrested because that's probable cause for an assault. If you don't see anybody with bruises, then you have to kind of do more questioning. Did this happen? This happened. You try to separate the two. You try to bring the woman out to a safe space. There are officers. Sometimes you maybe want to have a female officer question, like happened in this case, so they can be more comfortable. So this is what happens. But generally, if you go to a situation DV, one person's got bruises, somebody else doesn't have bruises, that generally is going to lead to an arrest. Again, from here, I don't know how it is where they're at, but or the other jurisdictions.
Right. It's definitely like that here.
Yeah. David says it is so uncommon to encounter someone so deceitful. It creates confusion and disbelief in the minds of those witnessing it. Yes, agreed. Amber Heard. Wendy says Amber Heard has a bad habit of biting and picking her lips. She does. She's done it all the way through the trial and on the stand the last couple of days. I think it made her own lips bleed doing that because she sucks her bottom lip when she's trying to talk.
Is my mic now being hot again?
It's up and down, but it's all right though. I'm just trying to rush through some random.
The chat's angry at me.
Amber Heard mentioned.
Heard you doing dishes.
Yeah, Amber Heard.
It wasn't me.
Oh,
I wasn't doing dishes.
Oh, I thought it was you.
Could maybe mine. Amber Heard mentioned Kate Moss in her testimony. Ben Chu gestured, "We got her." What is the relevance?
Saw that. I wonder what that means.
So,
I go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was doing some looking around, and in Twitter, people were explaining it. Kate Moss and Johnny Depp were a thing. He's been a thing with pretty much half of Hollywood. It feels like. I didn't realize. But no, Kate Moss has always been very supportive of Johnny. Johnny never abused me. He never hurt me. Johnny was like the safest I ever felt was around him. So I have a feeling Kate Moss is gonna show up as a witness at this point because
they opened the door
wide, very wide.
And there's also the ex issue too. But I think Kate Moss gets to come up and say, "I'm Johnny's ex. She said I got abused. He never laid a hand on me." But then I also think there's so abusing exes. Let's talk about that.
I feel like you don't want to open the door to exes coming in. And I think the judge was pretty clear because she wasn't allowing in testimony of Amber abusing her ex domestic partner.
Yeah, she had an arrest.
But Amber did that herself, and I think the way they reacted to it, I think they were expecting her to screw up, but I don't know if they were expecting that badly. But yes, Amber stepped on a landmine called Kate Moss when she did that.
Wow, that's a rebuttal witness. It reminded me of Kate Moss falling down the stairs. The implication being that Johnny Depp had something to do with it. Then now they can call Kate Moss in rebuttal to say, he never pushed me down the stairs. He never abused me. We were together for however long. He dated everybody. Jeez, I didn't know he dated Kate Moss.
Yeah.
Wow, good for him.
Go Johnny.
That's when you get that A-list money and A-list actor status.
Yeah.
It's like Seal. I always wonder, Seal is dating all these supermodels because he has the things on his. I'm like, how's he getting all these beautiful women? But
money, baby.
Money talks.
Money. Yeah.
Nick, can you talk about the politicization of these trials? I feel like it's so wrong to do. I'm openly liberal and yet feel Rittenhouse was innocent. Amber is untrustworthy. Poll trends are bad. Yes. Well, the difference is that a lot of times you're looking at the news through a filter. So if you're looking at it through a left-wing filter versus a right-wing filter, that's what makes the difference. And I think a lot of times the news is looking at it through the mainstream media is looking at it through a left-wing filter, and the right-stream media is obviously looking through the right-wing filter. But one thing I've seen that's consistent is that even here, a lot of the left-wing sources and the right-wing sources are actually saying the same thing. Amber's not trustworthy. Fox, I'm doing a video on it. Fox News had the clip. We don't believe Amber Heard. They literally said we just don't believe her. And then CNN, they had some of the panelists saying she's just not believable.
Right.
So it's interesting because this kind of trend goes across the whole political spectrum.
I don't think this one's political at all, actually. I feel like even if you had one impression when she came out with the op-ed in 2018 or when she filed for the protective order in 2016, which I just learned about but if you had one opinion then, I feel like many people are pretty much on one accord. Like her supporters are a minority. They're vocal, but they're there. They're a minority.
But I think that there's people that are agreeing with me on her credibility that come from all walks of the political spectrum, just because we all have ears and eyes and we can see that it doesn't add up what she's saying, you know?
Yeah. Joe, what's going on, Joe? Good luck.
Hey. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just doing this wrap up of the week in law. I'm gonna have to get out of here. We got another 15 minutes, but you can be happy to stay around and answer some of these super chats with us.
Yeah, let's do it. I will say, I'm picking up what Natalie said. I've been told by many people that a lot of people on the left are having issues with Amber's testimony and believe that she should lose this case. I think that domestic violence is so not anything that should be ever be made light of. I think one of the things that we lose track of is just how real the situation is. So many victims. Even if you're a guy out there who's actually genuinely doing the sort of things that Amber is alleging that Johnny does, you're a sick human being. You need to get help. And anyone who's in a relationship who's a victim of that, I really hope you need help too to get away from that situation. A lot of times, most women, unfortunately, are not in the situation Amber was in, that she had the financial resources to get away from him. The vast majority of women who are in that situation feel completely trapped because they have no way of making any money to support themselves and to live, the next month, 6 months, year, 3 years, and they feel trapped in a terribly abusive situation. So if you are in that type of situation, I urge you to get help. And this is not just women who are victims, but men who are victims. That happens far too often. That's far less reported because most men feel it's humiliating to talk about it. And I think that the Me Too movement had some benefits to it, and people like Amber Heard have really destroyed it. And they destroyed the voices of people who cannot, who feel like they're unheard, because now when I hear about it or anyone else hears about it, one of the thoughts that goes to your head is this an Amber Heard situation?
I said that last night.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. The Me Too movement should distance themselves from her and basically make a statement saying, like, this is an embarrassment. This is not reality. And frankly, we feel terribly about how this whole thing came down, but not try to. A lot of people, I think, might try to circle around here. It's like, no, protect our original story or original position at all costs. You need to reassess and just say, look, this was crocodile tears we saw yesterday. This was no woman who's a victim of someone who's allegedly threatening, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, pounding them over and over and over every day is going to have one tiny little bruise. Look at Rihanna from Chris Brown. She's got these big black eyes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So you compare that to what she's saying. He hit me over and over and over in the back of the head, and I don't know, a fat lip from being hit in the back of the head. All these ridiculous things. When she talks about the beginning of the relationship, she lights up like it was like the greatest time of her life. People who are victims of domestic abuse don't light up when they remember the beginning part of the relationship. They have a regret and shame that they actually felt that. So I think it would be best for society if people who are, at top of the Me Too movement would be like, look, domestic violence is real. It's terrible. It happens to women. It happens to men. And it should be called out every single time. But that does not mean believe every person who ever makes that claim. And unfortunately, Amber is a terrible example of what we held up. And that's regrettable. And we owe an apology to Johnny Depp. Because this guy was certainly to some degree a victim himself. And we basically paint him out as if he was the most evil person ever, and it was really unfair to him. Right. And they do something like that, it gives legitimacy back to the Me Too movement, and that's an important thing to happen. So that I just want to get that out of my way. I'm sorry, I've been going on here for a while, but this is message.
You're good, but I'm going to disagree with one thing.
Okay.
Johnny is no angel in this.
I agree with you.
I don't want to make it seem like I don't want people to think that I'm agreeing with Johnny the angel. I think Johnny is a drug addicted mess of a person, but I don't believe the evidence that's been presented to me now shows that he is an abuser of Amber Heard, right? So, like, for instance, the text message you're talking about where he wanted to say he wanted to kill her and have sex with her dead body, that went a long way to kind of to show a different side of Johnny. And that's why I said I believed Amber could win this case, because if it wasn't so if the story she wasn't putting out was so fantastic, I could believe a simple, verbal abuse or even maybe one or two slaps, something like that. I could believe. It's just she's trying to sell me a story that's on its face is unbelievable.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but there's the title with the sexual abuse in there, and then like I was saying this last night. I think that verbal abuse is definitely something that she can have some proof for with the text messages and things like that, right? Oh, you know, whoever started it, whatever. There's something there. There's some support for it. Let's say that, but to say that he beat you and threw you all over the place and shoved a bottle inside of you, that is what is wrong with your mind? Like there's something wrong with you that you come up with that. And I'm like offended by it, you know, like as a human being. So I just think she went too far. And if she loses and Johnny wins, it's because she went too far.
Yeah, this is a fish story. It started as a minnow, and it gets bigger and bigger. And she got to stand there, and we thought we were gonna get a 10-pound whopper, and we got Jaws. I mean, this thing it's really that thing back.
Joe, you're gonna make me laugh. You are crazy, man. But it's so true. I thought I don't know why. It's just I don't know what her legal team is doing because it just seems so outrageous what she's saying.
They're getting paid. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of photos, how can someone who lives in the public eye and should understand lighting and photography take such terrible pictures, low light? Well, I you know what? Listen, watching the wheels, I don't agree because if someone is being abused and is in that spot, they're taking a picture whenever they can. They're not looking like, oh my God, I got to get the lighting right. You know what I'm saying? If you've been slapped in the face or been abused, I don't. This isn't as moving to me. I don't know for the rest of you guys. It isn't moving to me. The quality of the picture, but the fact that she took pictures and then kind of didn't take pictures of the things that I think would have made her case is the problem, right? So, for instance, when she said he busted up my lip and I was bleeding, and then shows us a picture of her arm, that didn't add up. When she said she got kicked in the back and is on the floor and has all these injuries, and then shows here's a recording of him saying that didn't add up. That's what I'm talking about. It just what she's telling me one thing and showing me something else. So
yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of times where she was trying to like attribute his drunken behavior to he's threatening me. Like he would like send her things and be like, yeah, I'm never gonna do that again. I'm putting this monster away. I just got so out of control. And I'm like, well, this could easily be. She's like, well, what do you interpret that to be? That he's threatening me? No, that's up to the jury. Okay. And the judge will sustain that objection because really there's a question there of, am I talking about the monster that makes me abuse drugs and hurt myself versus am I talking about I physically abused you? I really do question some of those recordings and those text messages and voicemails that were supposed to be showing he's verbally abusive. I didn't really buy into it, to be honest, because she exaggerated so many other things,
I question whether he was using drugs because he was trying to escape from her. Like psychologically.
Some people said that. I mean, he had a long-standing drug issue.
That's true. That's true.
Poor man, he it looks like it's been going on with him for a while. But again, with the age of the jury and the area, which is Fairfax, which is Northern Virginia, it makes me think there'll be more sympathy for him with the addictions issues. They're not going to be puritanical about it, and people aren't going to automatically think just because you have an addictions issue, you're an abuser or that you deserve to be abused. And it's kind of like her attorneys were kind of saying that, like, well, if you're going to be fall down drunk, don't you deserve to get a couple smacks or something,
Yeah. That was crazy.
I hope Johnny Depp will do some PSAs after this for male domestic violence because he's in a position to really do some good.
Yeah. Trio Monkey, Dr. Meme says, how possible and probability I think we are dealing with two psycho abusers going after each other. So how is it possible and probable, I'm assuming, that we are dealing with two psycho abusers who are going after each other? It's possible, but again, we weren't there. So they have to prove a case to us. The way you prove it is you give us your testimony and let us judge your credibility, and then to judge your credibility, you provide us evidence to show that you're telling that aligns with what you're saying or doesn't. Right now, I think Johnny's done that for me. I don't think Amber has. To the rest of the panel, what do you guys think?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible just because some of the videos that Amber or that was introduced into the trial, you do see Johnny acting a little bit erratically. Does that mean he was directing the anger at her? My opinion of like the kitchen video, it seemed like he went away from her and then Amber followed him. But at the same time, I think that there can be issues where people will get into a fight and then you're either fighting each other or trying to defend yourself. And I think they need a little bit more information about if they were actually defending themselves or if they were just in a full-on brawl, honestly.
Bree, I gotta say, you made a great point there. If he's knocking things over in the kitchen, excuse me, and she's following after him, that's indicative to me that she knows he's going to continue to direct it against things and not against her. That she feels confident that she can be close to him and physically close to him while he's in an emotional rage, and that he will never touch her because you wouldn't go near someone who you think might deck you. Why would you be following after someone who you actually have a history that this person might actually cause you physical harm when they're in the middle of a rage? You would seek distance. And the fact that she's walking after him, to me, is indicative of the fact that he never laid any kind of punch or intentional type of "I'm trying to hurt you" blow on her. I'm sure he grabbed her arm sometimes, and it could be when he was trying to defend himself. It could be perhaps he might have done it when he was and to the extent you want to say that he was abusive. Is it possible that he ever was in a rage and she got in his face and that he initiated by grabbing her arms? That's possible. That's very possible. She kept poking his buttons. That's possible. But what I'm saying is she certainly didn't seem to be afraid that she's going to get physically hurt by following after him. And I didn't think it until you pointed that out. So thanks for raising that, Bree.
Right. No problem.
Now, I just have a quick announcement so everybody who is super chatted. Thank you so much. This is insane as it is right now because I got like almost 50 in the back. But so I got a hard time at 12:45 because I'm going into the Megyn Kelly show. So at that point in time, I got a hard target. What I'll do is that if I don't get to your super chat, I'm going to do another stream tomorrow and read off and answer all the questions in super chat. So you can send them in and and come back tomorrow and we'll finish them out. I'll ask people if they want to join and so forth, and we'll finish out the comments. So we'll read a couple more now. We'll have our closing little argument, our closing thoughts, and we'll get out of here. But tomorrow, your super chats have all been saved. I've made sure I got them. Even new ones that come in are going to be captured, and they will be answered. So if you sent some in, don't worry, we'll get to them probably tomorrow, and hopefully you'll catch some of the stuff we're doing a little later. So last couple of super chats. Could you explain and react to yesterday's Popcorn Planet video about cheating in court by Heard, lawyers, and PR team? I have not seen that video, so I cannot react. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I haven't seen it, no.
Not sure what they're talking about, yeah.
YouTube, how is that? How is the clock fair? Couldn't have JD's team hypothetically taken the whole time to present their case, so she didn't give time for the defense and or doesn't go to effectively cross-examining the witness. I'm not sure how they do it in Virginia. When I've practiced, I've never had a clock. Like they've never told me you got 5 minutes to make your case, or you got 10 minutes. So it's something I'm just not used to. Maybe it's in Virginia. They both seem to be okay with the way the judge is doing it. So I'm assuming a lot of the local counsel there are maybe used to it because they've done it. But yeah, I've never practiced with a ticking clock. Like you only got 2 days to present your case. Have any of you had that experience?
Well, no, I'm lying. I was about to lie on myself because the trial I was just in, the judge was like, and this will be done in XYZ amount of days.
Yeah.
But it wasn't done in those amount of days. It just wasn't. So no, I've never had a judge say you have this many minutes and this many minutes. I've never.
I love it though. I love it so much.
It was different.
From what I gathered on Legal Bites channel, it sounds like each of the teams have a certain amount of time, and it's up to them to allot how they use their own time. So that it can't be a situation where defense is just going to go on, and then Johnny Teams never gets to cross-examine.
Oh no. They
Oh,
each
no,
have
no,
their
no.
own. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that.
Can
Yeah,
they
they
get a
separate the
mulligan
two.
on the time they spent cross-examining her psychologist? Because they need a mulligan for that. Get that time back.
He was a
I
mess.
actually once was in federal court, and it wasn't for the whole thing, but it was on closing arguments. They gave us each 10 minutes, and we were the plaintiffs. They said, if you want to have a rebuttal, you can stop early and save that time for rebuttal, but you have a total of 10 minutes. And yeah, basically the lead chair, I was just a second-year attorney at that point. The lead chair went for 8 minutes, and then and then the defense went for 10 minutes, and I had 2 minutes to rebut her, and I was just spitting fire, like, yeah, as if I just watched. Not that you can imagine me spitting fire, but just like I was taking notes while she was writing, and I had like the best 2 minutes of argument in my life. When you're limited in your time, you lock in, and I seriously I nailed that rebuttal. And I had no time to prep it, but I just felt the fire, and I was hearing her arguments and then dissecting them as she was saying them, and I just got up there and just rattled in 2 minutes every counter argument I had, and it makes you more effective. It sharpens you when you have that limited time. So,
well, they say steel sharpens steel, right? So that's the way it goes. You got to be in that crucible. It's funny because there was one of the I forget the name. He's one of the most famous boxing, not promoters, trainers in the world. And he always says, for professionals like boxing, lawyers, doctors, you never really are that thing until you're tested in a way that makes you think on your feet. So like he says a doctor's never a doctor, a real doctor, until you open it up and it's like a bomb and you're like, I don't know what to do. And you got to think on your feet and go to all that training. You're not really a lawyer until a judge says, make your case in 5 minutes. And you got to think right on your feet right there to make the best possible argument. You know what I'm saying? You got to be pushed to hone. And he said, that's what makes you that thing. There's a difference between talking about doing that thing and actually doing that thing.
I like that.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I have to run. I'm a minute over, but again, tomorrow I'll put up the link for the stream tomorrow. It'll probably be like in the afternoon or maybe early evening. All super chats that have been put will be read and answered, so you guys can come back and watch that. Thank you guys for so generously donating to the channel. Thank you guys to all my panel. This is fantastic. Also, look in the description. All their links are there. Click on those channels. And again, just watch. I'm not even going to tell you subscribe. I'm going to say watch a couple of videos, and I'm sure you'll do the right thing. So,
my name Nate, some of your people were asking where you're how to see your thing with Bing and Kelly.
Oh, well, it's pre-recorded right now.
Okay.
So we're going to be pre-recorded. I'm not sure she's doing it live on Sirius XM, but we're just doing a pre-record right now, and I'll let you people guys know when exactly going to be out. So, all right, guys. I will see you guys. Oh, thank you guys.
Bye.
I'll see you guys next time in the chat. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Peace.